impressive. Just wanted to say about this move, bishop d3, I find it wrong on two levels. First is what you both mentioned, which was bishop takes f3, g takes f3. The second is what I'll mention, which is playing the move c4. To my mind, this is a beautiful bishop. But it needs to keep a target. The pawn on c3 I want it measured, so to speak. So if I could just put some moves on the board, I'm thinking that if Darius had played for knight a4, it's eventually going to force bishop d4. I don't think you can do anything about that, and you're forcing the exchange, the trade of one of the bishops, and you have a target in the position. By not playing either c4 or bishop takes f3, but by playing what he chose to play, although he could still play bishop takes f3, he hasn't punished this move at all. And here, by the way, I would be very, very worried as black. I would not want to allow the move knight g5 when suddenly my bishop could end up getting trapped myself, right? Like, let me make a bad move, rook c8, knight g5, and you can see what I mean about the bishop ending up getting somehow trapped, h6 and f3, or, yeah, I think f3. And black is the one who is in trouble in this sequence. By the way,
this position has him ruminating for some time, black here, as he's been deep in the think tank. He's giving Wesley close to a 10-minute edge. I'm just estimating because he doesn't look like he's moving anytime soon. Mm-hmm. This could easily slip away just in the opening, guys. Exactly. You start thinking, so about 8 minutes already on this move, or maybe a little bit less, but still, you give a Wesley So an edge where Wesley has 24-27 on the clock, and you've got 16 counting down. You better come up with some really important moves right now, like really important, or else, I'm sorry, you're going to lose the game just because of the time differential.
Space. I just wanted to turn the attention to Jeffrey Zhang and Sam Savian. It's not just the fact that these are two most promising talents in American chess. It's that this is a rivalry we're going to be seeing, I think, for a decade or more to come. I remember I think it was in the first day, you were giving us, a little history, the top 5 finishers in the last 5 U.S. championships. I think you're going to see these two players a lot. Again, this is a position I've had, not this exact one, but in my practice a lot. And in my practice, I've always have played for this move f2, f3. I see this as like a marvelously desirable break, especially when there's a knight on f6, so that I can follow up with an exchange sacrifice with rook takes f6. But I'm thinking after f2, f3, I just want to blast open the position. Sam's pieces, this bishop is okay. This one looks a little suspicious. This one looks a little suspicious. There's not complete harmony in black's camp. So I want to break open the position right away, play for f3, try to force some resolution like this, takes, so that I can play e4, especially before black has castled. That's kind of like a nice little important point there with the rook aiming at f7. So
Sorry, finish your point.
No, so I think f2, f3 is the way to go. That's it.
All right. Well, here is another bit of trivia. Ed just keeps throwing them at me.
Hey, yeah, okay.
Let me share with you guys. I'm going to put it in the form of a quiz. Who are the only 4 teenagers to ever win the U.S. Championship?
The U.S. Championship. Nakamura and Fischer. That's ezy.
That's easy.
Nakamura and Fischer. That was easy.
Okay, you get the other 2 ads.
Well, thank you. Well, let's see. I wasn't a teen though, right? I was like 20 when I.
Yeah, you were not a teen.
You were not so, Larry Christensen, no. Nope, okay, so we're gonna have to go back.
Not that far back. Not that far back. Somebody younger than you. Gadakowski, well done. Well done. That's number 3. Now you've got to go way back.
Oh.
Now you got to do it.
No, I was thinking about Stuart Rachels, but I don't think he was a junior at the time. I think he tied in an upset, by the way. Stuart was a lower rated player. But now we got to go back?
You got to go back.
No.
Nope. 51 is when you have to go back to. I'll give you the year.
1951.
And he was the only teenager that is the same age as these two teenagers. Very good. Larry Evans is it. Larry Evans in 1951 won it as a 19-year-old. So those are the 4 that you guys got it. JX, he's got 2 more days after today to be a teenager. 2 more days. He turns 20 on October the 30th. So last chance to join that illustrious list. Sam has until December, so he won't be a teen when the next championship comes around again. So he's got his chance as well. We'll see whether or not either one of them can pull it off. The way Wesley is saying, he's like, no. I'm sorry. You guys are gonna have to wait for your championships. But Jeffrey's in it with a shout. If he can win a couple of games, Wesley's got to keep the pace.
That's right. And I remember, I think it was the year that Magnus won the world championship against Carl Yakin. He celebrated his birthday like the day after. So this could be I know that chess players aren't supposed to be superstitious, but celebrating your birthday right after you win is really good, because I think when it's your birthday, a lot of things go wrong. I've seen two people lose their games on the birthday.
I lost to your brother on my birthday, Jen. I lost in the tournament where I made my final GM norm to become a grandmaster.
Okay, good news, bad
early
news.
in the tournament on my birthday. Thanks, Greg Shahadi, for that birthday gift.
Right.
Apparently,
big fat 0. But I got to thank my friend Willie Johnson, who I'll call Pop lovingly. He talked me down from the edge of the windowsill. It's gonna be okay. You're still good. Still got a chance. It was only like round 2. There's a long way to go, and I managed to pull off a number of wins and get the title with a round to spare. By the way, with a round to spare, even after losing. So yes, you can lose on your birthday. You don't want to though.
It happens a lot. My birthday is on December 31st, so usually chess tournaments aren't played at those times. I do remember once there was some party in Brooklyn where they invited me to do like a chess event / nightclub. So it does happen, but it's pretty rare. Usually people are doing other things than chess on New Year's Eve.
It's a good day to is that a good or a bad day to have a birthday, given that
bad day. Everybody's celebrating Christmas and New Year. They overlook your birthday. That's terrible. Terrible time to have a birthday.
But here we have Jeffrey Zhang. I like his position. I mean, it seems just like that bishop on d7 is bad, and that white just has a little bit of easier play here.
It does, but with the bishop on g2 being kind of blockaded in by the pawns on d5 and e4, it's not that effective and not terrible for Sam. I just wanted to turn the attention to a player who came in as a favorite, and he's like gnashing and howling at the winds. Hikaru Nakamura. He's up against Elshan, the lowest rated player in the field, but Elshan has played really well. And from the opening position, a kind of a Queen's Indian with bishop f4, a variation actually that Gadakowski liked to play as white. Elshan somehow, magically, if you will, turned the game into a kind of a Benoni, and has got a very, very nice space edge. And I feel it's like one of those positions where, in his desire to win, let's put it that way, I can see Hikaru taking a lot of risks in this game. And these setups for white are very, very hard for black to crack. In other words, imagine white plays h3, queen d3, a4 and rook d1 and just sits on the position and says, what are you going to do? It's going to be really, really hard when the pawn is on a4, the bishop's on c4, the queen's on d3 to get in the move b5. You ain't getting it.
Yeah, that's tough.
With the queen on d3, the rook on e1, the pawn on h3, you're not going to play f5 either. You're not going to help white. So I'm saying that this position, obviously it's advantage white, no question about that. But it's about how you're going to win it as black.
Win? You better be careful.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's
win is
wrong.
Let's first get equality, please, because
right
is sitting on its face in this position. Look, I mean, this is just ridiculous control of everything. I used to play Benoni myself, and I was not getting. At first, I got some nice attacking games. You feel good about life, and then players just play these solid systems and say, you know what? Let's see how you get out of this bind.
Right.
I'm not feeling this anymore. Let me get the heck out of here. And speaking of binds, let's get to that game with Wesley.
Yes,
because Wesley managed to get his knight off of f3 to send the knight, black's knight, all the way over in some excursion on the queen side where I don't even know what its future is. Although now it looks like Darius is trying to get it to a reasonable-ish square on c3, which I'm not going to tell you that I'm impressed by the knight sitting on that square that much, because this looks like there's going to be an explosion around that poor black king that has nobody protecting it except the bishop, which can be traded off. Knight f3 on the board now, and I smell bishop h6 trades. e5 is going to happen.
Knight is quickly played by Darius, but earlier you asked me if this was a Grunfeld that I fancied, and gosh, there's just no counterplay for black here at all, and it makes you wish you could go back some moves and play bishop takes f3 and at least have crippled those pawns. Even if white still had a nice game, it would be better than this, where, like, as you say, white has everything. Okay, the one thing we have is this pretty looking knight on c3, but that's not going to be enough, as Wesley just plays bishop to h6, and the ability to defend the king is lacking. That bishop on d7 is not going to be able to defend my king. The queen on c7 is going to have a really hard time getting to the king for defense, and the knight on c3 certainly isn't. So who's going to defend the big guy?
Rook on f8.
Great question. Because this looks terrible. I mean, this
f6 and rook f7 is not doing it. No. This has gone wrong. Seriously, bad. And earlier I said that if black had put the pawn on c4, there was a target on c3 that the knight might have been able to nibble on. Here, it's just one-way traffic. It really is bad. I mean, you can not that white even needs this rook, but you can easily imagine white playing rook c1, e1, e4, e5, and by good grief, by the time you ever threaten me with a pawn promotion, your king has been checkmated. This looks like Wesley So going 5-0.
5-0. I want to hear the record on that one. Well, we already know Fischer did it. Fischer did it also. We're still going back 63, 64.
You mentioned Arnold Denker.
He did it before as well, but Fischer was the last to do it on his 11-0 campaign. But this position, that knight on c3, it's even less than a paper tiger. I mean, it's not even somewhere near the king side or something. It's just
It's not scaring anybody.
Look how many moves it made. It played. This is what I hate about this. You have to play knight b6, knight a4, knight c3. You got all those moves in. You have to play bishop g4 and bishop d7. Now he's playing a5, completely ignoring the attack. There is no way you survive these pawns. No. I mean, e5 is going to happen at any second, guys.
Right.
If not taken, play it right now.
Yeah, the only reason I would delay playing e5 for just that 1 second is I wouldn't even want my opponent. I wouldn't want to gift my opponent the opportunity of even entertaining an exchange.
No, I wanted to trade on g7 first.
Oh, I'm sorry. You wanted,
And Wesley said he doesn't care about either one of us. He's going for E5.
E5. This is smish, smash, smash. I mean,
Wow.
Wesley said, "No, this is
must be winning as
terrible.
well.
This is terrible." Yeah, I was about to suggest Rook E1, A4 in a very,
Oh my gosh.
luxurious fashion.
Yeah, just crush.
And Darius heard you and took on E5, and is hoping that this somehow saves himself, but.
Yeah,
unfortunately, we don't believe it.
There's no rule we have to take that rook on F8 right away.
Oh, I'm not. I'm not taking it right. No,
not a chance.
The question for me is this: I want to take the bishop. Obviously, the bishop that bishop on G7 is such a key defender. I cannot overstate the case. Just take the bishop for the pawn. I just gift the pawn. And now I'm asking the queen where she would like to go. If she goes here, then I'll chase you and I'll take this pawn back. I'll take that pawn and I'll go F6. And if you go here, oops, that's where
you got a lot of arrows and here's and there's.
Yeah.
Which okay.
So I'm expecting queen D6.
The queen D6, bishop F4 looks.
F4 looks
the most
great. Yeah, scrumptious.
Killing.
Queen F6, there's bishop E5.
That reminds me of Irina Krush's wonderful win, where she first went bishop H6. Remember that? And then bishop back to D2, and then bishop to C3. Got her bishop on the long diagonal and won a beautiful game. A rook behind, by the way. This is scrumptious. You're right. The bishop.
But fascinating, right? Wesley took quite some time sitting here, as though he was slightly surprised by this last move. You would think he would have anticipated this sacrifice, but he finally decided, let me just get rid of your bishop and play what looks like completely dominant chess in this position.
Well, the other thing is if the queen doesn't hover around to protect the pawn on E7, like just for argument's sake, just goes back, then you can just see that this is an automatic pattern. Everybody has that in their repertoire. You put your pawn on F6, your queen on H6, and you go checkmates, but kasplat. So I somehow suspect that when Wesley played E5, he did it a la tempo, and then he thought, if I had included, like, seriously, if you have included rook E1 in the move A4, it's pretty devastating, right? So Wesley looks good to go 5-0. Sorry, Jen, jump right in.
Oh no, sorry to interrupt, but we have a draw underway in the game between Elshan and Hikaru. Hikaru might be drawing out of contention.
Absolutely.
Because 5-0. And so what happened was you guys liked Elshan's position, but
we did.
Somehow maybe he rushed things, because it turned out that he just, after this position, he managed to feel that the best line was just to play bishop G7 and queen G5 and agree to a draw.
Well, his E5 move certainly threw away any energy in the position, because once Black got this nice blockade on D6, it's no longer the same advantage anymore. Look at that knight horribly placed on E8, and then you play an E5 move, and now the knight's like, I'm alive. I'm alive. Look at me. I'm in the game. I'm dancing. Ma, look at me. No, that's
E8, like, nice defensive move, rook A8. So we don't have queen G5 because there's F6. So he chose the right rook, did Nakamura. And there's no way to get another piece into the attack to support our bishop sacrifice.
No, that's just
in a way, Nakamura is relieved to have a draw because his position was under pressure. But of course, when you look at the tournament standings and, Wesley is about to go to 5-0, 3 points out of 5 is dangerous. He's going to have to win when he plays head-to-head versus Wesley.
But it's not only Wesley. I mean, Jeffrey's on fire. Ray's on fire. Those players,
all of them.
Those players, right? He's got to bring them all back. Like, when he sees all of these guys have to be brought back to earth, because you can't hope, okay, Wesley might collapse, now I'll win. There are other people who have to collapse as well. So Hikaru has really drawn himself into a very precarious situation with round 6 coming up next. The halfway point of the tournament is the next round.
By the way, just jumping back to the game of Wesley. So we do have this situation where bishop, queen forecheck, bishop e3 on the board, queen g7. And I was just looking at, sorry guys, gift me my pawn, bishop takes c5, because I'm eyeballing bishop takes f6 followed by h6. And, we talk f6, we talk about the alpha 0 pawn on h6, where, the king and queen can get gummied up by just a pawn on h6. Pawns on f6 are much, much stronger than the pawn on h6.
Look at this. Wesley's not satisfied by what looked like a completely crushing position, but he's repeated moves for some reason. Why do you think that is? Because there's no way he's taking a draw. No way. I'm betting. I'm betting the house.
Yeah, in the old days of the Soviet Union, the Soviet players were literally trained, in the Pioneer Palaces to repeat the positions one time. It was a way of saying to the opponent, I'm the guy in charge. I'm the one calling the shots. You're fiddling to my tune. And that's still carried on. You still see it among some of the top players today, that they, even in a very, very overwhelming position like Wesley has, they repeat once just to tell the opponent, I'm the guy in charge. And by the way, we do have...
And by the way, yes, I don't like philosophy, because I think in our commentary work, we've seen at least 2 or 3 repetitions by accident where people thought it was 2 and it was actually 3.
They overdid it, yeah.
Many times. I mean, I guess that's not a lot, like 3 out of hundreds of games. But then you weigh that against the chance that it's really going to make a difference in your tournament. I don't know.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's not everybody's. It's not something everybody should do or anything like that. I'm just saying I know it from my experience. When I was up against Soviet players, it was like absolutely routine. And it was almost like, you see, he is the professional player. By the way, we do have rook c8 on the board. I'm just putting an example line of what I'm expecting from Wesley, and that's bishop takes e7, queen d4 check, what else? Otherwise, f6, this queen is going to find herself buried. Queen d4 check, king h1, rook takes c4, again, one of those what else's kind of situations, and then takes, and you put your bishop on this long diagonal, and that's all she wrote. This is like, how many ways to checkmate?
Yeah, how many ways to win here, guys? I'm also thinking about taking on g6 and then taking on e7 with the rook, because we're going to be, in this position after rook c8, take on g6 and then take on e7 with the rook, and you're totally losing there, because if rook c5, I take twice and then I have queen f2 at the end. So
that's a nice one. I like that one, Jen. You snare that rook over there.
No. I got fancier than that. I want to get in on this action, please.
There's a line behind you, Maurice.
That's right.
You got to take a number. Take a number.
What I want to do, put your bishop back on e7, please. I want to get real fancy. Get that position back up, please, because I had an idea myself.
I got it for you.
This one right here. After bishop e7, queen d4, let's keep that line going. Bishop e7,
okay.
queen d4.
Yeah.
Okay, I frankly, you play rook c4. I want to sack on f7. I just want to be just completely ridiculous and sack on f7. That's what I want to do. And then sack on g6. No. Fancy, man. Did I say fancy? That's mating. Who cares? Because queen a6, he might play queen g7, and slow me down.
Okay.
He didn't have to. This is what I want to do. Now, how do you get out of this one?
Well, he did play bishop e7, by the way. So he did.
Now I want to play bishop f6 and challenge you to save yourself. Of course, this is completely irresponsible, but if we're going to get fancy, I got rook e7 and queen g7 on tap.
I can deal with the queen g7. It was the rook e7 that looked like hurt.
By the way, we got some moves. Bishop e7 has been played. It looks like.
Oh, and look at this finish. The bishop took an f5 and he sacked. I mean, he had no reason to do this, but he's got the fancy disease that I've got. I mean, look at this position that he opted for.
Okay, so he went bishop takes, check, king, bishop takes f5, rook takes f5. And this is what Wesley is playing for. Check, queen g7, queen. So queen again, he's threatening. Oh my gosh, this is overkill as well. D6 and D7, oh my bishop God. F6.
I was going to play rook A6. Hello, could I please get in the game somehow? But this D6 move, oh my God, rook hanging.
You got a rook hanging.
Okay, so I can't play rook C6, I can't play rook A6.
Queen G6? Oh. And Queen G6, we just go back to F3 or something? And
or maybe H3. This is sick. This is terrible.
This is the same fancy stuff. I'm just going to beat you any which way. You're not surviving this ridiculous position. Horrible. Wesley So is starting to dominate people, guys. He's making it not even look close.
But guys, black is up in exchange.
You're right. Man. I guess we have to reassess this position.
Well, I think it's Jeremy Silman's how to reassess your game. Right now, the exchange is not as good as it used to be, Jen.
You call the knight on C3 a prime square.
And it is. It is. Put the king on B2 or A1, and I'll show you why. In this case, the knight is really far from the act. Wow, let's leave this game alone, and we'll jump to Jeffrey and Sam Savian. And it's really, it does remind me a lot of French defense. Queen A5. Now, there's a very special school of thought about this whole Queen A5, and it was Tigran Petrosian that won a really, really, really famous game where with the queen on A5, there was a rook on A8, a pawn on A7, and a knight on B6. And the queen on A5 dominated all of black's pieces. And this game was like super ultra famous. And then in Nixich in 1983, Garry Kasparov did the exact same thing against Tigran Petrosian and won just a brilliant game. And from those two examples, I've always felt that, you don't want to go down in the brilliancy books as losing with the queen on A5. Let's see what Sam is going to do to escape his fate. He played queen D6, protecting the knight so that the knight can jump. Knight went back to A2, so he can play rook C5 and knight B4. Rook C5 on the board, rook C8. Again, just, these two games that I'm citing from experience, they tell me that Sam in deep trouble. Deep trouble.
Well, somebody's got to keep pace with with Wesley, because Wesley is just flying, and it's Jeffrey who has the chance at 3.5, just playing absolutely great chess.
Because Ray looks like he's going to make a draw against Dominguez. You don't even have to go to that game. That
game
very
is
simplified.
Tepid.
Yeah, I'm just seeing rook C1 and knight B4 on white's agenda. Okay, black for sure is going to play H4, but without the presence of a rook on the H line, H4 is kind of like an empty threat. I don't think Jeffrey has to play H2, H4, which would be a kind of a normal reaction, if you would, to a move like H5. But how is Sam going to unravel his queenside? And Jeffrey's asking the same question of Sam, like, Sam, what are you doing? By the way,
speaking of Sam Shankland not having a good tournament, but having a blistering attack right now against Alex Lenderman. It is very pretty indeed, as we see this knight on F3 and Alex Lenderman on move. But if he takes that knight, everything's coming at him. Pawn takes F3, and your H3 pawn is a goner with queen H4, and then your king's going to be a goner.
Okay, you say and if he takes that knight.
What's the bad news then, Jen?
Is G3 completely necessary? G3, queen F. It's white on move.
You're saying instead of taking on F3.
Yes, sorry,
Yeah.
my apologies.
Play G3.
I
No,
mean,
so-
I don't want to just let your pieces stream into the
Right.
position.
But now I'm not down any material for the attack.
Exactly.
Cool.
But what happens? G3, queen drops back, and then H4, because I have no other way to defend my pawn. And
Clear.
all right, you've got knight parked on F3. So I'm not exactly happy about that. And he has played G3 because otherwise he would just be bleeding horribly.
Yeah.
Now, what is going to happen here to me? Is there a way to take this darn pawn on E4? Very frustrating. Try to figure out how to get rid of this guy, but
Well, he realized exactly what you were saying, Jen, that you couldn't take the knight. He did play G3. We have Queen H5 on the board. I'm with you, Maurice. Your
Queen F5,
your job when you're in a bad position is to make your opponent's life as difficult as you possibly can. Keep giving your opponent problems to solve. If they answer and solve all the problems, well, tip your hat and say, well done. But in the meanwhile, H3, H4 is an honorary move. Just keep playing. And I think the answer is E3. I see it now. I was a little bit blind, but I'm sure E3 is a raro.
That's definitely a raro. Wait a minute. Wait, Bishop D.
Also, I'm sorry, Maurice says also knight D4 so that we can park the knight that you wanted to chase to oblivion.
Well, that's not
back
nice.
into the, that's really unfriendly.
Well, that's a great
Really
example
unfriendly.
of is it Lasker quote about seeing a good move and looking for a better one? Because I like the way your brain worked, where you see E3 taking advantage of the loose rook, and then you're like, wait, even better, just playing knight D4.
Exactly, so I can bring that other knight.
Yeah.
E3, which immediately I was like gleeful about, give me that one. Bishop D3, I think you were about to mention it as well, Maurice. There is Bishop D3, and I start to worry that I might trick myself somehow. And by the way, while we're at it, Gary Kasparov and that upcoming charity function, Jen.
That 1st of December, easy to remember the date.
Easy to remember, the 1st of December. Yeah, and that was why I saw knight to D4. Is it a Lasker quote or a Michael Tal quote? I've always given attribution to Misha. I thought.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
If you see a good
move, stop.
No, I think it was before Misha for sure.
I hear it attributed to Lasker, but then people sometimes say it was somebody before. So,
before Lasker.
You know what? I think somebody on the social media can hopefully inform us about that one. Because it is a great quote. It's
a marvelous quote. Yeah.
So
look at, I know it's not really relevant to the standings, as this is a great position, and we do want to get back to Wesley at some point, but look at the game between Alejandro and Awander for a moment. You'll see why I'm suggesting us look at this position. Because
prime square, Jen. Prime square.
I mean,
you mean it
what?
What? Wait a minute. Who invited this? How did
he said the knight just left F4 to go to E2, and now Queen H4 on the board. And I mean, White looks like he's just winding up for a death blow against Black somehow, some sack. But where is it? And this knight E2 move, it must be so he can play knight takes on C3, and he has done it. He's gone the same deal with the other position where Darius put his knight on C3. He said on C3 and said, "What you got? What you got? Show me."
Echoes as well. Well, the knight said, "Thank you very much. I wanted
to put it back on E2,
but I'm ready to go to F4 and I don't know, E4." And by the way, that's a monstrous square. Again, knights love protection, and putting the knight on a square that's doubly protected, they go, yeah, that feels really good. Thank you very, very much. So I'm liking what I'm seeing here. This knight is really good, but if you don't land the blow, the knight comes to D4. This could have.
This is terrible.
Yeah.
If you say if you don't land the blow, you actually need to sacrifice something, right? Because you only have pieces.
By the way, Wesley has won his game. As
No surprise there.
yeah, that was
Were,
gorgeous. Another gorgeous game by Wesley.
by the way,
the
is
last one
he
was really special.
when sometimes like we see these U.S. championships, and boy, we've called some really wonderful ones over the time. But when we see a player in great form, we go, yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy. And right now, just looking at this final position, you just go, oh my goodness, what a shellacking
That was
poor Darius just took. Oof.
no.
I'm
gonna say. I'm gonna say. I results matter, of course, but we have to be fair to the game itself, right? Wesley did win a couple of games that his opponents could have played much better.
That's right.
Wesley did blow the position against Sam at one point, right? He gave Sam a chance. He let Sam in the game. Right. So let's not say he's playing perfect chess. Let's not overestimate that. But this game that he played right now, this is
really good.
Beat down, start to finish. I'm coming to get you. I don't care what you're sacking, what you put in my way. This is how it gets done. This one was pure.
Impressive.
This one, we'll say, okay, we can. If Wesley goes on to win this and it looked with a 5-0 start, it looks like he has all rights to expect that. You can put this in the article now. We don't know what he's going to do in the next 6 rounds. But this one, you can put in the article. Look what he's done with the white piece.
I like the one with Shanklin. It might be imperfect, but it was so inspired, and just being down a full rook and playing some quiet moves, man. That was
of course. It was an exciting game, Jen, but there's going to be a giant question mark in your annotation. You're going to be objected. You're going to have to give that. So again, Sam had a chance. He was inspired. It was a great idea, but Sam had a chance.
But the better game were more inspired and unusual than in this game. So to me, that game is my favorite Wesley game so far. But he's got 6 more games to play, and playing this argument might just become more heated.
Well, I'm not even talking about my favorite game either. I'm not going in that way. All I'm saying is, if you want the game where you say the guy played like a star from start to finish, right? You talk about great form. This was the game from start to end. The rest of the games, he's just taking from people any which way you want it. You got a draw, I'm taking that game. Oh, I messed up, I'm still taking that game. Next game is going to be, oh, I'm dead lost. He's going to take that one too, the way he's playing. It's ridiculous.
By the way, I just have the game between Jeffrey Zhang and Sam Sevillain on my board. I'm not sure. It feels like Jeffrey kind of reached the Zook point here. The Zook point being that he got his pieces into their absolutely optimal position, and then he didn't have a plan. And he played the move knight A2, and I'm scratching my head over that one. Is he planning to bring his knight to the desirable F4 square? But doesn't that give Black the time that Black needs to activate his queenside? I mean, looks like a little bit strange. Let's say I take as Sam here. If you take with a pawn, I'll go here. Give me this pawn with the how about this one? That's even more kind of forceful, isn't it? If you take this pawn, I don't think this bishop is any weaker than this knight. Could be wrong, but I wouldn't suspect that to be the case. So if you take with the rook and I challenge the file, you play knight here, and I'll just stop knight b5 because I think that's pretty crucial. I think Sam's okay. If these pawns live for ever and ever, Sam's the one that's going to be a little bit better in any minor piece ending because he'll have more space. Probably not winnable. By the way, after the move knight a2, we saw a different approach. Rook c8, queen a5. Well, isn't it time to take this guy and do something, I don't know, like queen b8? Now it's a different ball game.
It's the queen on a different ball game. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree. And by the way, the game where Alejandro was in so much trouble looks like a different ball game there as well.
Like,
How did he survive
how
this
did that
position?
happen?
Exactly.
What?
And actually, I think I know the moment in the game because I'm trying to understand where was it? It was back after knight f3, after e4. After e4 by black, why didn't he play knight f3? Why didn't knight f3 and take the g pawn? What was wrong with this sequence? Knight f3, give me the g pawn, and your knight on f6 is dropping, and the bar just went nuts. The bar just went nuts. What's happening? Black has just blundered. Where is the win? Is it? Oh, you can take on e7. Take on e7, knight g6, queen h4, queen h7 mate. Isn't that winning?
Yes, exactly.
Did he play knight c4?
Yeah,
He did. He did. He missed it.
He didn't see it. Rook e7, queen takes, knight g6, pawn takes, queen h4, and queen h7 is mate.
Oh.
Exactly.
And so what about knight c4? What happens after knight c4? How do we, well...
My rook would probably revisit.
Maybe he could go back to e7. Well, take this knight. This knight is...
Wait, what about knight e6 though? What is knight
Rook
e6?
d8 played. Rook d8. So
Knight
go back to
e6?
e5 and hope you get to do it again.
But why couldn't you play knight e6, guys? What was wrong with knight e6 on the last move?
After knight c4,
yes,
Maurice, knight c4, knight e6. Can he take it?
No, I'm saying knight. Yeah. What are you going to take? Oh, my rook.
Right.
And go for this position. No,
exactly.
That's completely winning. Sorry. Okay, so that
no worries. No worries.
So
rook
that
d8.
Works. He played rook d8, saved his rook, and now knight d7. And Alejandro with only 20 seconds left. That's why he missed the combination.
Yeah.
That's why
he's been in some big time pressure this game. 12 minutes to 2 minutes earlier, and now just 20 seconds.
Is Bishop like g5 a mistake? Is Bishop g5 a blunder here?
No. This feels like a wonder should be winning. I love your move knight f3. I love it because it's a prime square, Jen. It pins.
No, but this is
the
move I want to know. Bishop g5. He just took the pawn on g5.
He did. I love that.
Why isn't this? And he didn't take it. He didn't take back. Alejandro just put his queen on d6. He's hoping for tricks right now.
Yeah, he's looking for tricks. I mean, he's busted and he's hoping for the best at the moment. And if only,
it's just he's gonna certainly feel sad when he sees that.
He missed a golden opportunity.
Yeah, because he would see it instantly in a puzzle, but when you're heated, only have 20 seconds, you don't realize that there's a win coming up.
Right.
Just if only he
didn't have the computer bar that I had that told me that there's a win somewhere to look for.
Yeah.
And that changed everything.
Yeah, I think there's a number of wins, but Bishop e7 and Rook f7. I just wanted to go back to the position where he did play Bishop takes g5, and goodness knows it's a wonderful move. Don't get me wrong, it really is. But I really, really like this move even a lot better. Why? Because that puts the knight on d7 in a pin to the rook on d1, and it threatens Bishop takes g5 as well. That looked like curtains to me. Bishop takes g5, queen d6 on the board. Rook e8, queen takes c5. This is
now
weird, guys.
Addressing the knight. Rook takes knight on d7 is rook takes, and then taking the knight on d4.
Right.
So black needs a move to resolve everything.
Well, what about knight f3 again? Just sorry to be repetitive.
Queen c6.
Queen takes c6.
I don't believe it.
Let me just.
let me sure there's death.
Queen h3 is not.
Queen h3, king g2.
Wow.
Still a little bit of work.
It's still work. Okay.
He's put the knight on f3. He's done what you said. F3. And king g2 immediately, not taking the pawn, just bringing the king up.
King g2.
And what is the blow?
Yeah. Everybody's looking for the knockout blow. Bishop d2. I don't know.
You can't move the. I thought there was a threat to move the knight on d7 somehow and attack a lot. Somehow, some tactic.
Right.
But the knight h4 check. This check forces your king back to the back rank. So now when you move your knight, there are no tactics. When rook takes d1 is check. So this.
Ooh, queen C3 suddenly popped into my mind now that I can see my way clear to grabbing a pawn.
Did you say grab a pawn? I'm trying to steal a piece and you're busy.
I know. I'm thinking, no, I'm thinking you're right, Maurice. Play rook e7 now that the rook's in a pin. Provoke the move queen takes c6. So then you can go queen c3 and checkmate your opponent. So rook e7, that's step one for.
Yep, there it is. It's on the
queen
board.
takes it and queen c3. And look at that. The black queen is monstrously streaming in.
Knight
Okay,
5,
very quickly.
Only 15 seconds left. He had to be quick.
Only 15 seconds.
Well, queen takes h3 check. If you're not losing after that, something's wrong with chess.
Yeah. The rules are unfair, right?
But there's no check.
He's done it.
There's no obvious. There's no knight g4.
Well,
There's no
knight f3 is a good start, right?
Knight g2 though. Look at that move. That's a nice move. Knight f4 check.
That's an evil move to see. You don't want to see funky knight moves when you're in time pressure. It's the last thing you want to see. Some bizarre knight move when you're in time pressure. By the
way, queen h5 alert.
This is over.
That could be
3 seconds.
Too.
And he's played queen c7, completely ignoring this formation, but knight f4 has to be death. Oh, he's losing his queen at least. If queen h1 and then a check, and then a
knight d5.
There it is.
Check or knight e6. Either one.
Queen takes rook is possible. Knight takes. Oh, and after rook c7, rook e5. Oh, he collected everybody, and I wonder has finally won a game.
Let's go to
the last game.
Let's go Shanklin versus Lenderman as Shanklin looks like he's recovering from his really tough loss last round to Wesley. Jeffrey and Sam drew a few minutes ago.
Exactly.
A full-point lead.
Okay, well, rook takes h1 looks winning, right? Because you've got queen h3 mate is the threat.
Yeah, it looks
like
if
you took the rook, there was a back rank mate based on queen h3. Sam's
moment of coronation here for Sam.
Yeah, what a time to join Sam. It's like a victory parade going on here.
And
Sam has just collected a rook, another rook, and a pawn, and forced designation.
Too much, no mas.
Ray Robson's still playing in a game that we
way. We thought this game was a draw ages ago.
We did,
and it's still a draw.
It's still a draw.
The result is still likely to be a draw. But hey, time pressure. What about this bishop going after? Is there a way to blunder here?
No.
Oh, there's always a way to blunder.
No, stop it, yes. Stop it. Show me how you win this position. I'm going to play bishop f6, bishop d8 on all and any moves for the rest of time. How do you win this?
Well, king
say that again.
I'm playing bishop f6, bishop d8, bishop e7. I'm going to hang out on those diagonals as black
for the rest of the time.
And for the rest of time, how do you win?
Yeah, bishop d8.
I was thinking that the only way I am penetrating into black's camp is via the gateway is a5 or c5. So I have to engineer a trade of bishops. Now, I'm not saying that even if I was able to do that, I could with the game, but I have to go through the a5 square. So I'm thinking Ray has to go bishop b4, bishop a5, bishop b6, and king a5.
But I'm going to push back and say, what if I put my bishop on f6 and give you what you want? You get your king to b7. What are you going to do?
Oh, you're just saying, go ahead, give me everything I want, including
you can have your king to your position you want, if you want. You get your king to b7. I'm going to sit right there. Yeah, go ahead. I'm a nice guy. You want it? You got it. Here he could play. He could have played king c5 right there, for example, but
but king c5 doesn't go. Now
look,
the king.
He's done it.
You're right.
He's now giving him the gift.
Now he's gifted him the king to b7, which Ray said, okay, I got that.
Now your king is on b7, and now what?
And now what? Man, that's harsh.
He went back. He said,
I get everything I want, and it's not enough.
You get what you wanted. He said, I'm gonna. Why is he moving his king? I would never move my king over d7 on principle. And now Ray goes in, and now Ray goes back. And
All right.
clearly, this is a
And we have a
draw.
draw. We have a draw by both of our 3.5s, guys, which means that Wesley So has a full point lead going around.
Wow.
Can he go 6-0?
You would have to be incredibly, incredibly insightful to have imagined this kind of result by Wesley So. I wonder who did that.
Well,
You did not think he was going 5-0. Stop it. Stop it. You might have picked him to win, but you did not think he was going 5-0. No way.
No.
and let's see the very end of that Wesley So game on VChess as we missed the very end of it. No, this part we definitely saw with the bishop E3, queen back to G7, bishop C5. Oh, repetition that you remarked.
Torture repetition.
The torture repetition.
And now bishop takes C5, and we were just having so much fun here trying to find 20 different wins for white. Right. But Wesley obviously picked again one of the most professional ones, simply.
They did not pick a professional one.
Well,
it's not professional. That was the massacre. That was the beatdown.
This one looks great. Bishop queen takes 5, and now black is basically moveless. I mean, D6, D7 coming, bishop F6.
Oh my God.
Everything.
The queen is running out of squares. And Darius did find a few more moves, but he went down.
He played
the D-pawn actually just shoveled up the board.
The very final moves were actually rook E8, D6. Yeah, this was the position that I saw Darius resign right here. Bishop takes E2, and I went, oh my God. I mean, this is just like a reconstruction. If you try to reconstruct this game, it's just be like, oh, head shaking. Bad news for Darius. But Wesley So fans are just besides themselves in glee. This is, well.
There's some games, I'm going to tell you, there's some games where you actually feel the pain for the loser. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Some people lose and you're like, stop.
That was
right?
bad.
That was bad day for the guy. Bad day. Let's get away from this position. Let's just get away from it. And thank you for shifting now. And because that was one of those. And Wesley, as you see there, of the leaders, the only person to win, and you see a bunch of drawn results, and 5 and scintillating. Oh.
That's right. And he does play Dominguez with the black pieces. So a challenge if he wants to keep up his perfection in this event. Meanwhile, both Ray Robson and Jeffrey Zhang mixed for half a point. Still a tremendous score, but in this
Wait a minute.
Point behind.
Wait a minute, guys. Could we go back to that score? Please.
Yeah,
let's go back because I just observed something.
A 2-point lead over Hikaru?
Of all the players in the lead, behind him, all the players chasing him, who has he played?
Well, it's certainly not Jeffrey and Ray because.
That's right. Wesley has a tough road ahead, but he plays Nakamura actually in the very last round, guys.
Look at the 5 players chasing him.
Nakamura.
The 5 players who are 50% or above. He has not played a single one.
Right. Including Elshan as well.
They also
including Elshan. He's got murderer's row ahead of him. Murderer's row.
Here are the pairings for our last round of day 2, Jen.
That's right. Well, we got Dominguez playing white against Wesley. So the scores are reversed there. I'm sure Dominguez fans would love that. It's actually Wesley with 5, and I believe Lanier actually.
I don't think a wonder has 3 points either. I'm just guessing on this one.
But that's okay. The pairings themselves.
The pairings work.
We're going to see that big game, Dominguez white and Wesley with black. Can he get to 6-0? That would be something. Right now, we're going to take you back to Wesley So's 2017 victory, and we'll be back with round 6 of the U.S. Championship. but meanwhile,
How do you
Alexander
draw?
is going to equalize on the clock pretty soon. He's only at 2 minutes himself.
Well, Alex, I'm still a little bit. How is he going to break this blockade? This queen and knight work beautifully in tandem, keeping all of White's pawns and opportunities in check.
That's why I wanted to take the pawn on g5, even though
Yeah.
h5 as the best move. I wanted to take the pawn on g5. It seems like it would have offered more chances to do something in that kind of position. Now he doesn't see how to break the position, and he doesn't have any free moves. But that
Look
endgame,
at the clock, Maurice.
yeah, he's getting closer now. He doesn't see the win.
boy.
He knows he's up 2 pawns. What to do?
But where's the breakthrough?
Most practical is queen e4, go for this endgame, but it doesn't look quite winning. How do you win that? You can't
Hold
get
on. By
zook
the way,
swung.
queen e4 in this exact moment would drop
Would
the
drop the
F2,
F-pawn.
F-pawn, so you can't even do that. If you have wanted to play queen e4, you needed to do it earlier than this. King g3 is likely, and queen f4 very quickly, of course, by Wesley. Now I'm expecting king g2.
Trying to revert.
We're trying to revert back to that moment where after queen d4, I will then play.
And
he
that's
has
right, but
played
guess
it.
what? They both have 1 minute on the clock now.
Oh my goodness! It's
So
big
not a
shot.
lot of-
Queen d4 very quickly
Wow,
by
look
Wesley.
at this guy's intuition. Nobody, no caring for that pawn on g4.
Yeah.
He said, I'm maintaining the blockade in the
Right.
position, and now,
I think
now you
gotta
have to
go-
play queen e4.
You have to.
You have to
simply
try
have
queen
to.
e4,
And
but
you
no
have-
longer a clock advantage.
And you have to hope that your king, after a trade of queens, you'll capture the pawn on c4. White has to hope his king can make this long Arctic trek all the way to the e7 square.
But the plus is that the black king has to deal with that h-pawn all day.
Right, that was why he kept the pawn on h5.
Okay, now he's thinking, though. He's
Uh-oh,
at 31
He's getting under 30
seconds.
seconds, so
Unbelievable.
he's going
Again.
to try it, though. I mean,
He
Again.
he's
has
got
to
another
try
option.
queen e4.
Let us.
But first, he's
He played
wasting
bishop
time with bishop
E6.
e6.
Oh,
Now
no.
knight
Oh,
d3.
no.
Bishop e6.
Oh, no, a howler.
No.
That has thrown it all away. The knight has finally found the f4 square, and you will have no advantage at all. That was a big mistake.
Oh, my
the win
goodness.
is gone. The win is completely gone now.
Oh, my goodness.
The knight's going to appear at f4 and,
10
equalize the
seconds
game.
left.
10
for-
seconds, 8 seconds, and he's not getting any bonus time. Again, it's all about delay, not
And
increments.
the knight has jumped into that.
But queen c2, very, very nervous, Alex Onishuk at this moment. Queen c2, you can't grab the bishop. Let me.
Because there's a queen g6 mate on
Yeah,
the board.
but now you have to watch out for mating ideas. King to h2, and he's
Wait.
lucky he's not
keeping the
getting
game behind.
mated somehow.
Right. Queen is going to slide over to f1 square, though,
7
here.
seconds left.
7 seconds for the whole game, and Wesley double guessing here. He put his queen on f1, and now he
He's,
changed his mind. Saw something he
changes-
didn't like.
Oh.
Maybe
Well, he's
You
definitely.
saw bishop d5 probably, but that's good for him.
Of course, it's a touch move. He's going to have to move his queen.
30 seconds, guys.
But queen f1.
why not queen f1?
And he's changed his mind.
What is going on here, Maurice?
It's a draw still. Bishop g8, a mate threat on the board.
Knight
Check.
takes h5, check.
Still a
King
draw.
g2,
Check.
knight back to f4.
Oh no. There is a mate on queen h7 mate threat that Wesley So is going to have to deal with.
Knight g6 stops that. A lot of moves stop it actually. f5 as well. But, and there it is. The knight has dropped back. At least he's gained that
7
much.
seconds left for Alex.
Oh my
18
gosh.
for Wesley.
And queen f4 check is on. Ooh.
And knight h4 in this position. Knight g2, and is that just a?
Is there
Well, the king
perpetual
can go
on the
over to-
spot now? I think it's perpetual on
That's
the
right,
spot,
because
guys.
there's knight e1 check.
Knight e1 check. If you
Yep.
go to e3, knight c2 check.
No choice. He cannot get away
and
from
it's
the
a
prevent.
draw.
A
Wesley
beautiful-
So is our new 2017 U.S. champion. What a dramatic, exciting.
What a
this
great
way.
endgame lesson there.
Absolutely
Fortresses,
incredible
perpetual checks.
battle.
Wow.
Dark square domination held him the draw. Not many players would have been able to hold the draw there against Alexander Onishuk.
A St. Louis public radio journalist's most precious possession isn't a notepad, camera, microphone, or recording device. Their most precious possession is credibility. A journalist's work revolves around the truth, finding it, verifying it, and reporting it. Great journalists work hard to find the facts and put those facts into context, examining all the arguments and including differing opinions, amplifying fascinating voices from our community, telling captivating stories, offering facts that may have been omitted. We work every day to earn your trust. For news, turn to St. Louis Public Radio.
We're the Corey family. Welcome to our show.
We made it, guys! Yay! That is my boy! Look at that kid!
You guys gotta see this. That's our show. Now go start yours at visitmo.com.
So because of the pandemic, we were forced to work a little bit differently for our chess productions, and it's been really interesting and quite a learning experience as we got lights, a background, sound equipment, all mailed to us, and we had to figure out how to set it up properly.
You know, cheating is a really big and important issue in chess, particularly online chess. So the arbiters really have a lot of work on their hands. Of course, there are cameras that can be in the room, so they put not only do they monitor the computer screen that the player is using, but even have a camera behind them to make sure that nothing nefarious is going on.
It's remarkable that everybody is remote in all areas of the world. I'm in Hilversum, Holland, a kind of a suburb of Amsterdam. Jen, I know you're in Philadelphia. Maurice, I know you're in Brooklyn, New York, and the players are all over. It's all rather seamless. We all transit our signals through St. Louis, the truck there, and all the magic happens.
But whether you're in person or whether you're actually working online remotely, to be able to connect, the power of voice.
You know, it just makes you realize how grateful we should be when we get to meet each other in person and everybody is healthy and safe. And welcome back to the 2020 U.S. Chess Championship. We've got Wesley So with a perfect 5-0 and some very impressive forceful games today. Jeffrey Zhang and Ray Robson full point behind now, as they both have 4, and their distance between that top 3 and the rest of the field gets bigger as the number of rounds decrease, right? So Jeffrey and Ray now also a full step ahead of Naka and Sam.
And let's take a look at our pairings for our 6th and final round of day 2 of the 2020 U.S. Championships, Jen.
There's a lot of big ones. Nakamura is going to want to play for a win in this game against Evander Liang. Of course, we're on the Wesley So watch as he faces Lanier Dominguez with the black pieces. And another big one is Sam Sevian, white against Ray Robson. And of course, Elshan against Jeffrey, Ray and Jeffrey. A lot of pressure to try to win if they want a chance to compete with Wesley for this crown.
And by the way, we have a special, go for it, Jen.
Well, I was going to say Gary Kasparov is coming to be the guest of honor in our strategy across the board fundraiser that raises money for both the World Chess Hall of Fame and the St. Louis Chess Club, both 501c3 organizations, which mean your donations are tax deductible. You can register for the event by texting 2020 SATB at 76278, and also go to our website, stlouischessclub.org or World Chess Hall of Fame to find out more.
Fantastic. Will be a great event. We always love to go to that one. By the way, again, that list, I was thinking about the fact that Wesley now is playing his 6th player, and everyone he's played is, I believe, below 50%.
Right.
Everyone he's played.
Including his opponent here, Lanier.
Including Lanier.
Who we thought would be a pre-tournament favorite, certainly by rating and also by just his great success with rapid chess as well. But no, that's not been the case. And for us, we're just asking ourselves, how long can the streak go on, guys?
And I will also want to point this out. Very important point. The 5 players who are chasing Wesley, we said those 5 players he hasn't played yet. None of them that I can think of, maybe you guys can correct me, none of them has lost a single game. Is that right?
Jeffrey, no. Sam, Sevian,
Jeffrey hasn't lost.
Ray
hasn't lost. Naka hasn't lost.
Just one win and draw the rest of the games. Yeah.
Elshon hasn't lost. Wesley's going to face his last 5 opponents will all be undefeated, and they're all chasing him at the moment. Well, let us say that. They're currently undefeated. They're currently
remarkable. And by the way, Wesley, as we can see on our V-Chess, just really beautiful graphic interface that was developed in-house, by the way. Berlin. And Lanier this time has said, no, I played against Hikaru. The ending didn't get much. I'm going to fall back on rookie 1. And this line, and I think didn't he just play it with Ray Robson too, by the way? This very variation where so many pieces get traded. Unfortunately, it's so tepid. I'm
not liking it.
It's so hard to see anybody winning this game from this position. I see a draw in the very near future. Sorry, I'm just going to move away from this game. Give me another game that you guys might like to take a look at.
Pretty early, by the way.
It's early, but Sevian versus Robson is a game with the most points in it besides that one.
Well, let's do this. We just saw a trade of rooks. I would expect either a queen e7 or queen e8 move. Nope. Wesley said, I'll move my knight back. I'm going to play d5. I'm going to play c6. I'll develop my bishop. And
we have a very combative opening in the Sevian Robson game. So basically the opposite of this one. Right. And I have a bold prediction to make about this game. Yes. Ray Robson is going to be in time pressure at some point. As not only does Ray like to get into time pressure, but the King's Indian in a rapid game is a kind of opening that kind of lends itself to anyone getting into time pressure because it's so rich and it's so close that it sometimes just starts to open up when the players have 1 minute on their clocks. And hey, he has 4 points now, so he knows how to play it without a lot of time.
Right. A little bit on the edge there, Jen. Bishop e2 castles. Let me just say that in this variation that I played very often myself as white, bishop often bishop g5 is the main move here unless you're going to go back into the normal main line with knight f3. Bishop e3, that's a little bit of a different tickle because it still keeps the crazy idea of g4, g5, h4, h5 in reserve. And it does make the hint of suggestion that queen d2 and castles long is on white side of the table. So Ray said, okay, I'm not 100% sure what you're going to do, but I'll play knight c6 with a very concrete idea of e5 and landing my knight on the d4 square. And we've caught up with the players. Here the question is, what do you think of these apples? d5, knight e5. After all, where else would you like to go with your knight? Knight f3. The reason why I'm offering this trade of knights is I'm always thinking in terms of the King's Indian defense player, that King's Indian defense players, they rather want to keep as many pieces on the board as they possibly can for their mating attack. or what they hope will be a mating attack. A trade of knights doesn't bother me. I'm still going to go castles and play for my queenside stuff with b4 and c5. And should you play knight g4, I'll play bishop h5. And you can't hunt my bishop down like you normally might with knight h5.
True, but I like that better than just taking right away, because at least after knight g4, if you move your bishop, we can, you know, take on f3 and then occupy the nice e5 square. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm just taking up one minor piece off the board, and again, you know, it's not like you get to go f5, f4 and mate me thanks to all of the nice pieces that you have in your hand. It's like what Maurice was saying, you know, you're running out of wood. So just take a little bit of wood off. And by the way, Sam has played the move d5 and knight e5 is on the board. And now the question is, does Sam want to play h3 as a prelude to playing f4, or go with my suggestion of knight f3? h3. I was going to say this is the more aggressive move, and Sam said, yeah, sign me up for that. Not 100% sure that's the right way to go. After c6, f4, knight back, knight f3. These 4 pawns attack, you take a lot of responsibility. You captured a lot of space, so to speak, but now you're going to have to defend a lot of the squares that you've left behind. So for example, let me just put a move on the board, a move or two on the board, a5, a4. And what am I trying to do as black? I'm trying to go queen a5, knight c5, and tickle this pawn on e4. Also with my queen on a5, I can sometimes play for a3. So double-edged game. And
also in that position, by the way,
yep.
As we see f4 on the board, so let's play it. Actually, he played e6.
E6.
So if you can back up, to the point before you played a5.
h3, c6, f4, knight d7, knight f3. Yes.
There are also ideas in these kinds of positions where you take on d5. C takes d5.
Right, cd, cd.
And toss out the move b5.
Yeah. Hip, hip. If I take that pawn with my knight, you take on e4. But if I take with the bishop, usually there's a nice tactic, right? Knight takes, knight takes.
Still take on e4.
Exactly. And you get to pick up this bishop thanks to the fact that knight c3.
I have to give up my dark square bishop for it, but given that you can't put 2 pieces easily on the diagonal, and after pawn takes, queen takes, you're not castling easily here. Your structure has been shattered, been fractured. Bishop b7 is coming to go after your d pawn as fast as possible. This queen will be an annoyance. So this tactic is another one that black can sometimes look for. But he's played e6 instead to create a different sort of position, and we see we have.
And he's got it too, a very different position. After e6, the reason that I shy away from the e6 move myself is precisely because what Sam has played. It's the weirdest thing. I'm just not a big fan of this pawn structure myself. The pawns on d6 and e6. Put the pawn on e5, yeah. Put this pawn on f7. I'm just not a big fan of these, of this combination. So let's imagine for a moment that I'm with Sam, and he's played very, very aggressive to this moment. Suppose he were to play the move g4. So his idea is to meet e5 with f5. And also he just wants to go bishop f3, knight e2, and just space you to death. What do you think? How can black resist, counter?
Up to Ray to figure out, because
yes, because this could it's a challenge. It's a challenge.
It is a challenge.
If you go knight c5, I'm not really interested in taking and going. Once again, I'm thinking that from White's point of view, bishop f3, knight e2. I really want to do this. Of course, you can always sacrifice a piece. I understand. But if you don't land with the peace sacrifice, and look what he's done.
He's done it. He's gone for it. And Ray is not looking very happy.
G4.
G4 is on the board.
Very aggressive play by Sam.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling you guys. Now, yes, you are the resident Caro-Kann specialist. So I'd like to jump to that game with Nakamura and Awanda Liang. And tell us why, because I have to admit to not understanding this at all. I thought it was just automatic that White had to do this. Why doesn't White play H5 and Bishop D3? Instead plays Bishop D3 immediately after having played H4 and inducing what looked like a useful move, H6.
It's nuanced, it's settled. So here in the old thing, Hikaru's move order was considered the most exact. The move knight f3 threatens the move knight e5. So everybody and his brother for the better part of 50 years was playing the move knight d7, and only after knight d7 would they play h5, bishop d3, and they get on with business. This was absolutely, the standard religious undertaking. Somebody who was much more clever than I said e7, e6, and knight e5 is not really a threat. And we went, what? Because we all thought that this was really, really, really dangerous. But modern engines have said, nope, nothing to worry about. Everything's okay. Now, if you're not inducing knight d7, if you're not going to induce knight d7, the problem from White's point of view is knight f6, c5, and knight c6 could put a lot of pressure on the d4 pawn. So suddenly, somebody got the very courageous idea that you want to play g4 and g5 and not to play the move h5. And again, it's very nuanced, and I'm just saying that c5 can be met by knight e4, g4, g5, and it really depends upon how the game unfolds. Knight f6, bishop f4, intriguing move. Again, most players have been playing bishop d2 and or knight e4. Bishop f4 in this exact moment. Wow.
And look what Awanda did. And I've got to say, I'm wondering what White has after check c3. And Awanda said, let me be super thematic. As you see here, bishop e7, and said, this first, and also this move, knight f1, the knight on g3, normally, as you said, goes to e4, because he didn't want to see a trade. He's headed to c4 with this move. And,
exactly.
And instead he played this, and Awanda said, let me get my c5 move in as fast as possible and test you. Knight d2, queen a6, let me offer a queen trade. Not going to want any parts of it. Played knight c4 and castles. What is wrong with Black's position?
Nothing. I must say, I'm really, really impressed by Awanda, what he's done. First of all, he's answered a little bit of offbeat line with some very, very precise play. And just the fact that White's king is still undeclared. Like, again, in this position, in this line of the Caro-Kann, it's almost an automatic that White's king goes queenside, not when you're blundering your a2 pawn. You don't really want to go kingside when you've already committed yourself to h4. Fortunately, your pawn's not on h5, so that is an option. Here, I'd almost want to say that White has some obligation to play rook g1 and g4, or g4 immediately, and roll the dice.
That's a dice roll for real. You're chasing a knight that's headed to d4 eventually. And he's played g4. He's played the move. And I'm not sure it's a pawn I want to take myself.
Right.
I'd like to bust the center open and put a knight on d5 and test you there. And he said, no parts. No parts of that plan. Knight d5 immediately.
Wow. Well, first of all, these guys are making some really, really long-term, very important decisions. Almost like, yep. If this is theory, man, I'm telling you, if theory is advanced,
no, I don't think it's bounds. I will say it is not theory. No way. I cannot believe this is how you would analyze a position forcefully to this
Mhm.
point. Maybe somebody's played it before,
Right.
which we would consider theory because somebody has actually done it in practice.
Right.
But in terms of analyzing this position and saying this is the best move and this is the best move, and if this
Right.
move, this one, that, let's be real. And Bishop E5, that's
Wow.
a hyper aggressive square for that bishop.
Seriously.
Just
And now we can see, understand a little bit better why the pawn, by that pawn, that little thing, if the pawn was on H4, H5, I beg your pardon, G5 would be a harder move to bring about. But because the pawn is on H4, pawn is coming to G5, virtually unstoppable. You do not want to play F6 and weaken this G6 square.
But we do
Sorry,
want to
Jen,
open
jump
up the position where your king, the classic advice of meeting an attack on the wing with an attack in the center, just try to clarify the situation because, if we take on D4, you have to take with some piece, and some of them look bad, like pawn, obviously, B4 track.
Right. Here, I would definitely want to think about if I have to recapture it all, because G5 might be really coming. I think it's going to be met with H5 in almost all cases, though, right?
And don't forget, I'm trying to play something like knight B6 to trade off some pieces since I'm getting attacked. So
of course.
But knight C6 was a Wander's choice. And now
G5 instantly, by the way.
An instant H5.
These guys are making really massive committal decisions in seconds.
And look at this, H5, let's go. Yeah, I know what's going on. I'm not going to let you go GH6. I'm not going to open up the king side.
Now with G6,
H5.
What happens if G6 now?
Now the nice part is, well, the difference here, but if this queen ever gets to H5, I'm crying. But the difference here is you've already occupied the square, and F6. Again, if you get your queen to H5, I'm crying. But if you don't, well, for the moment,
he's played it.
And it looks like
Hikaru is going all in with just no care in the world. Just like, I'm going at it. I'm attacking the kid. I have to win the game. Let's go for it. Will this rebound in his face? He's down 4 minutes on the clock.
Look
5
at this,
minutes
guys.
almost on the clock.
I have to jump in because this could be a lot of fun. How is that for a move? Jeez.
Unsurprisingly, Wesley drew that game. Wholesale trades on the e-file, and the game was drawn 5.5 out of 6. What a score for Wesley.
Monster score indeed. Is knight G5 ridiculous? I suppose it is, right?
What are you trying to do? Get your queen to E2?
I don't know exactly what I was trying to do.
You just sacked a piece?
I just put something over
What's your point?
I don't know what
and look at the youngster. How do you make a decision in 1 minute? I'm not taking your pawn. I'm just going to let you. What's your threat? That's what he said.
The problem is he's trying to get rid of the bishop because the bishop is such an important attacking piece, the bishop on E5, that is. And right now, you can't take with the knight because there's knight takes E5 and then everything's just getting traded off, right? I don't think that's what Hikaru wants. And again, if you take with the pawn, there's all that nasty bishop b4 check, not to mention knight b4. So what does Hikaru do now? I mean,
bishop takes
d4. Okay.
Bishop takes g7.
Bishop takes G7.
Bishop takes G7.
Yasser's going,
oh boy.
No, you don't understand. As a commentator, I get to take my moves back when they don't work.
Second piece after piece. So what happened?
They don't work.
Just take it. Like, just take it. Go. If you're going to go, just go.
I wanted to put a knight on G5. You guys won't let me sack my pieces. I realize when I'm playing against you guys, I've got to be very forcil. Bishop G7. So the idea is King G.
Okay. Where's the mate?
I don't know. I'll leave it to you guys to figure out the details. I just
wait. What's your threat? Rook G1 with a knight G5 idea potentially,
or knight E5, queen G6. Sorry,
you're not getting knight E5. I don't think.
By the way,
Right.
Hikaru's played knight takes d4 after all. So maybe
Maybe that might have been a little too.
did not
You think?
wrong in Korea.
I know it's nighttime right now in
Holland.
Hilversum,
Yes.
and maybe there was a little bit of bubbly on the break. Yes.
Well, I like a good bedtime story. I mean, somebody's got to come on. Tell me a good bedtime story. That would have been a
Goodness
nice
gracious! What happened to Yasser Sirwan? That
I don't know.
you in love. It's like every piece in that position.
Now
I
if we just
think-
trade everything, guys, what's going on? Isn't black up? No, we're not up a pawn in the end of it, huh? So if we just
Well,
take on
I
e5,
can-
you can
I
take
can-
on f7 in between move at some point. right?
Exactly. I'm not 100% sure it's necessary, Jen, because I do have knight takes e6. But let me take, as a Zug, let me get that.
Yeah, rook
check
f7
in.
and then knight
Because
d3. And now the question is just, okay,
this is weak.
I haven't
This is
won-
weak.
Yeah, I haven't won any material as black. So who's
Bishop
better
f6?
here? E6 isn't take.
Bishop f6. I'm not gonna cry.
No,
don't believe it.
I
think
take on
this
e6
is-
for the rook e8.
Yeah, I think this is perfectly acceptable for black. The knight will probably try to swing around to the e4 square after I've castled.
I'm playing
but
e5
it's
now.
not-
I'm playing e5 with e4. I would take this and count my lucky stars.
Well, it's not the excitement of sacrificing pieces on the king side,
True that.
but that was fun. It was okay, but knight takes d4 is a little bit of a downer. And
By the way, we've been
Yeah.
talking all this time. The ancient gives black a massive advantage here. Look at the bar.
Wow.
Look at the bar. I mean,
Oh, you're
black
right.
for complete choice in this position. No end games, no
Imagine
nada.
it's
The-
That endgame only looked a little better, so it must be something else. Like, is there
Mhm.
f6 or?
Is white threatening anything? Because if white's not threatening anything, then that knight on c4 is a fake piece. It is the knight on c4 is holding everything together. It's pinned. It's holding knight takes bishop.
Oh,
There's
you
a-
mean
there's a-
b5?
Well, b5 is one idea. Rook c8 is another. Just setting up
Well-
some punch like knight takes d4. I actually
if
like
you-
bringing a rook into the game myself.
Yeah, that's
The
great.
problem with b5 is you have knight c6, knight c6, and then knight a5, and you
Whoa,
get
whoa, because my spidey sense is tingling.
knight a5.
here. Whoa. Knight
You're thinking knight
a5.
a5, knight f4, huh?
Yeah, that's
But at the end of the
exactly
line,
what I
our
was thinking.
And bishop is hanging as well.
But everybody's
true.
bishops is
Like
hanging.
knight
right?
f4, knight c6, knight d3, king somewhere, and
king
then
e2, and I can either take on e7 with check or take on e5.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, I can
that
actually take on
wasn't-
f7 first. I can take on f7 first.
Yeah, that
That's what I
wasn't
can do.
exactly
That didn't work.
the cruncheroo that I was hoping for. B5.
I like Maurice's rook c8. That looks
Whoa. One last look. Takes. Give me your
Oh.
queen. Give me your knight. You
okay.
take.
And now
I'll
it's
take. Give me your
knight
pawn.
e7, and you're ready to take on g6. And
Take on f7 check. Sorry, solve that problem.
Okay. But now at the end of the day, where is the king going?
Well, queen e4 for the moment. Okay, this may be better for black. I mean, you like to argue about
Yeah.
who's better in a position, but I want to
Yeah.
know if this is this much engine better, because rook c8 is very aggressive. What is your next
Please.
move?
Rook c. If I play bishop g7, you guys
I'll
promise
just-
not to
I'll
hurt
leave.
me.
I'll just leave.
You're not gonna hurt me, are you?
No way you're playing. Bishop g7 is off the table. It's not gonna work.
Why?
It's not going to work.
Why?
I'm threatening knight takes on d4 right now, by the way. I'm threatening knight takes on d4. So I can actually I can
You
eliminate
mean
your...
in this position, you could go knight takes d4. I see. I took a pawn, but you're literally saying it's going to cost me a piece this
It'd
way.
be very interesting to see what your continuation is here, given that you just... Unless you have a continuation, but knight takes d4 on the board. That's the threat.
Right. Mm.
You got some stuff to prove. You might be winning. You're not winning in exchange, actually. You'll get something, but then your knight drops. So
Right. Boy, rook d8. Okay.
rook
Rook
c8.
c8.
Rook
pardon me.
a c8. add another
That's-
black piece to the fight. Look at White's position. White has, okay, 3 pieces developed, so does Black. Queen in, queen in. Black's king is castled. White's king is still in the middle. And Black can add a rook into the game. If you're telling me that Black should lose this position, or looks, every argument says Black is better. I'm not getting mated. I'm not worried about it. You got 1 piece right now. You might throw a rook in, but we'll win out of that. We see Nakamura is bobbing his head.
Bobbing, like he's got this beat. Like, what?
I'm sorry, Rook C8. I'm still waiting for a move. Like, what do you do?
That's hard. That's a hard move because you're looking at all the exchanges and forcing moves, and that's a brilliant move. And Awander is, to his credit, thinking in what seems like a very critical position, and that's what great players do. They sense that moment where everything will change in the position. So if you play knight e6, are you sure I can't take on d4 in that position?
No, you can definitely take on e5. Yeah, no,
on e5. Excuse me, my fault. But you do have knight takes e5. Look at that. Oh my gosh, you do survive.
Knight takes e5.
Knight takes and then queen takes. Play pawn takes on f. Oh, queen takes e6. Okay, that cleared the cobwebs.
Yeah, that certainly ended.
That answered all.
I was doing one of these Laos. It was refuting. I played a bad idea that has many refutations, but I just know how powerful a pawn on g6 in this mating construction can be when you don't have the knight f6. But I'm just kind of fiddling. But I think it's rook c8. And by the way, to his credit, Awander is really, great players have this unique ability to catch the moment, to know when there's an opportunity. And for the last few minutes, Awander has shied away from, Jen, the automatic knight takes e5, right? And just go into what looks like a pretty normal-ish ending. Instead, he said, no, I've got something. There's something here. And he's sensing it. And he's really determined to find it.
Burning clock, though, big time.
As we started analyzing that endgame, it did seem like Black was the one who was nagging more than White. So it is really interesting when you're playing against the pre-tournament favorite in terms of rapid chess, and you get this position with Black where you're the one who's got more tricks in the end game, but you say, hey, wait a second, maybe I can do even better. That is formidable. As Awander seems to be playing himself into form in that, he started out with 3 losses, but today seems to be performing a lot better. Now, he didn't play rook c8. He played knight takes d4. How does that one look?
By the way,
I see the bar go to 50, a little bit closer for White, the engine bar. So that means it wasn't necessarily the killer blow, but it still says Black is better. And queen takes, and now he's played rook c8 on the next move.
Okay, so
that doesn't look bad. That looks like a cleanup. Make things less complicated, clean things up. There's no mating attack, and White
could be annoying in some positions when we take on g6. Don't forget about that. So there's a lot of hidden energy here in this position.
For Black?
For Black.
No, there's no hidden. Sorry, hidden energy. You're trying to fake me out. Black has some obvious killer energy in this position. Black, look at this position.
Well, bishop c5 and pawn takes g6. Before you were the one who were trying to, benefit from those open lines, but all of a sudden with rook c8 and bishop to c5, that's what I meant by hidden. That came, to me, that came very fast. That suddenly Awander's attacking in the same lines that Naka was trying to attack just a few minutes ago.
Exactly. Completely refuting White's play. White's position is.
By the way, that's.
Why did he take with the queen, allowing that? Because I guess if bishop takes, there was like some knight f4 business that just looked amazing. That's why. So this is much more.
It's like clean.
It's very forcing. Rook c8 is a great move, but this one is.
I like this move. I like this way as well. And knight back to e3.
Like White is just collapsing. Black has
your bishop c5 comes in here, Jen.
Yes.
Looks very impressive as a move, and it's Black who's attacking. I can't even believe that Naka has not pulled a single face at this moment because his position looks terrible.
Because
And it is
Maurice,
terrible.
I've always said this. Sometimes Nakamura pulls his faces when he's better. It's something he does a lot when he's better. He doesn't always. He sometimes does it when he's worse, but not always. A lot of times, the face pulling is when he's like winning, but not totally winning. Take a look at some past broadcasts and future ones. You'll see what I mean.
Amazing.
Well,
Amazing. He's so calm.
He's
with
dead
the
serious.
black pieces
He's
flying at him.
He's in trouble.
Yeah, I think White's just busted. I'm not even sure what the computer thinks, but for me, this rook on f8 is ideal. You're ready to take this pawn on g6, and black's pieces are flooding in the position. So I was just looking at a variation that went like this, where the rook ends up, you're taking this pawn, the rook ends up on g4. Everything is, this is
terrible.
A dream Caro-Kann position. If you can imagine something like this happening, you can, queen is, oh no, don't even want to look at this. It's just so bad.
It's funny, coincidentally,
Hikaru.
I saw a tweet from Hikaru earlier today where he quoted a funny line from the Queen's Gambit where he said, "What's wrong with the Caro-Kann? It's all pawns and no hope." And
all pawns and no hope. I like that.
there could be some karmic retribution, as it looks like Awander is showing him that it's more than just pawns. Of course,
exactly.
He wasn't trash talking for this game. He was just quoting a beautiful line from the movie.
I understand. I also like Misha Tal. He was a mischievous rascal. And one game from a Soviet championship final round, he was black. He desperately needed a win. Everybody, his opponent played e4. Everybody expected an open Sicilian and a brawl. And Misha made a Caro-Kann, and the game ended in a draw. And they said, "Michael, what are you doing? You played the Caro-Kann. You could have played an open Sicilian." He says, "Well, I play the Caro for a win and a Sicilian for the draw."
That's an inspiring.
It's just kind of nice. It's like, what?
Yeah, sir. You're trying to play for the win. I'm puzzling over the move. Bishop e3, pawn takes, rook c4, bishop d4.
Okay.
What is the pat response there? I don't see the knockout.
The killer blow.
I know.
I'm actually not even sure what the continuation is.
Okay,
F5?
first of all, let's.
Or you want to take?
Yeah, no. Let's open up the F file to make sure the king goes nowhere, and then let's take this guy. Let's take this guy to make sure the king isn't going to go this way either. And then you're going to take, and let's drop in and just be a little bit unfriendly.
Actually, knight f4 might have been stronger.
Even more unfriendly. However,
now that you're showing,
this looks like
now you're showing
the
game we just saw with Wesley.
Yes, Wesley Sam Shanklin.
That even worse.
It was the queen and knight and rook, right? That's
exactly right. That knight anchored on f4, creating all kinds of mating ideas. Either one probably is strong, but yeah, I like that. Okay.
He took on e3, by the way, did a wonder. So I mean, you can throw in check, but I think that's really helpful for black. If you throw in the the Zwischenzug.
Gets a rook in the game. You
yes. Right. So we're anticipating takes. Now, rook c4 is not the only move, guys. I mean, there are other continuations for sure. It just struck me as the most forceful, right?
Right, totally. Yeah. This one is going to be. We're talking about Nakamura and how much his position pains to watch, but do keep in mind, Awander, there's that clock, and we've seen him with a winning position before. Nobody better than Nakamura than trying to mix things up and trick his opponent. So
he just took on g6, throwing away a tempo, in my opinion. I think he saw. Maybe he didn't realize the exchange sack was going to be as strong as it was, because he could see rook c4 and hesitate the way I did after bishop to d4 and say, I'm not sure what's happening there. Right. So he instead just took on g6 immediately.
Which is a very nice move because it opens up.
Yeah. It opens up the position when your king's address is non-existent. I mean, you can't go queen side because a2 will hang. You can't
Right.
go king side now because it's not even within the
Legal.
world of chess.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go rook s7 and rook f8, and Wander's just playing simple chess here. Like, good luck defending this. As I said, Hikaru, tremendous defender, but this is an unenviable task.
Totally.
Are you sure?
Totally.
Can he castle right now?
After immediately
F7.
after
Takes
After
yeah, the inclusion of this move. Queen
Yeah.
takes G6.
rook f7.
I really wouldn't think so. Queen
I'm
takes
just-
a2.
I'm just curious. Now, your threat is
I don't know. Maybe something like check and knight b4 check.
Or just
what's the material?
rook
Careful,
I'm a
pawns. I have
pawn
to be
up.
careful. I have to be just a little careful. Now, you
You
have a
wanted to
check.
play bishop g7, right?
I have a bishop G7. That's correct. But you do have a check and then a check. But I get to.
You mean
This
like
is
get
what I
I'm
was
gonna get-
afraid.
I'm going to get killed. Check because I can't go to B3 because of Queen A2, and something really bad's going to happen.
That the old,
really
the old,
bad.
like
The old really bad.
The 1 minute bullet players have pre-moved those last 4 moves for black. Like you play King B3, they've already pre-moved the Queen A4 mate.
But I'm gonna. So now put your knight back there, right? So now your knight is here. Do I
By
take
the way,
your knight?
A2 A3 by Hikaru.
Oh, he never
So
took on G6.
he never took on G6.
Okay,
A2
that,
A3.
that's fully seizing the defensive.
Yeah, exactly. He's saying, okay, I'm going to castle. And a Wonder saying, wait a minute, just a second. First of all, I'm a pawn up. Let's start with the
Wow.
idea. Second of all, are you really going to castle and maybe allow knight c3 and queen a3?
Yes,
I mean,
he just did it after rook f8, rook cf8, and
Wow.
what a change. I would never have wanted to move my piece off, but he's starting to actually defend the position on Wander instead of crushing his opponent or looking for
I
killer
would have
blows.
never played this move. I mean, it wouldn't have even been on. Oh my goodness, that's such a shocking move because you, as black, you're looking at moves like knight c3 and rook e4 and rook c4, maybe even b5, b4, but certainly sacrifices. You're looking at rook f8. Wow, what's the idea behind rook f8?
The other thing too is if you go back, the move when he played bishop d4, knight f6 now on the board, bishop to d4, just that moment.
You mean back when?
No, go forward. Go forward until white plays bishop d4. Just keep going until white plays bishop d4. You went too far
okay.
back.
As
For
far
our
as the
game
game is
position.
current. Yeah, okay.
This game is
No,
super
this
fascinating.
didn't get played. Let me just finish this.
Yeah, finish this.
Takes here,
Bishop
and he plays
D4.
bishop d4.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think you have the wrong position. 'Cause he
Okay,
played
let me
bishop
refresh
D4
my
one step
board.
Meanwhile, we're getting a lot of moves.
Let's get another game before
The
we'll
game
come back to this
between
point.
Sevian and Robson is very heated as Robson looks like he's clipped a pawn and an important pawn at that, guys, as he could head to 4.5 out of 6. I mean, sorry, 5 out of 6. That's an
He just
Wow.
took the pawn.
four.
Why
Yeah.
couldn't this pawn be defended? What was the last move? Knight a5 and
You mean
b3.
instead of bishop d4? You mean b3? I guess he was worried about like d5, bang open the position.
Well, we got to make sure it's a worry.
looks-
D5 does look scrumptious as a move, that's for sure.
Black just looks great here. That king castled on the queen side.
Yeah, D5 looks problematic for sure.
Not
that
happy.
rook on c8
And I guess
just
there's
nicely lined up.
no b4 because there's just knight takes e4, b takes c5, and then knight takes e3. So that's where
E3
we
is
really
in.
would prefer to have our king over an h2 or g2.
Bishop d4, knight c4, king b1 on the board. And like you said, that was a very important pawn that just got clipped off the board. And Ray certainly looking good.
Better on the
is that
clock.
moment.
Remember, we were talking about all that space he did not have. Well,
Mm-hmm.
the dark side of that space is turned into this position, and it is Ray up a pawn and looking now for just some consolidating moves. Wait a second. Can't we? Oh, if we take on d4, you play. rook takes d4, and something feels wrong about that. But d5
Yeah.
instead. Just I got an extra pawn. What if I just consolidate the power of this knight? I'm not liking this. This looks busted. Bishop g7 is met by queen takes, and this
How about
really
okay? Again, it's you got to give your opponent the most challenging decisions that you can. Like when you're winning and the guy's flailing away, you don't want to see a move like h4 followed by h5 because
What about the move he played? F5.
Whoa. You don't want to see that one either.
Oh, what? He's trying to undermine the d5 pawn.
That
Whoa.
That's precocious. Look at that. I mean, just going after Ray. Ray's a little bit astounded as well.
Do you believe this move?
No, but it's a stunner. I love the spirit. I love the spirit. Oh my goodness. And GF, well, you may have some regrets about the open file, so you don't want to play G. And if you take with the E, well, suddenly the game isn't
Bishop
that
d4
simple.
was Ray's choice. He's played Bishop d4.
And by the way, take a look at what's happening with the tail ender Elshan Morediabadi versus Jeffrey Zhang. He is currently got some interesting pieces in this position. To be sure, how is he doing here? I don't like the way Black's position is airy.
Configured. Yeah, it's very, very peculiar. My first thought was that I can go rook takes d8 as just a start, and something weird like this. Okay, I'm angling for queen c8 and give me the knight because of the king, but I'm also thinking, can I start taking pawns? Queen b7, desirable as it might be, simply fails because trade the queens and the f5 pawn is hanging. So this game is very intriguing. Jeffrey in a little trouble?
Jeffrey,
has not lost.
Moradiabadi might be the tail ender in terms of the ratings, but so far, very solid result. 5 draws in a row.
Whoa, look what he did. He traded rooks and played knight d2, chasing a queen.
Clever. If you go queen takes e6, queen d3 emerges just in time to win back the pawn. And check this out. That f5 square would be gorgeous for a knight.
That's sweet.
That would be very nice.
That's chess right there.
That's
chess right there. That was
Elshan.
Knight d2. Trade and play knight d2 with that little mini tactic. That is sweet. Jeffrey could be in trouble.
Yeah, he's in trouble. And Elshan also has plenty of time on the clock, so he's playing on pace. Brilliant play with us being unable to capture that pawn on e6. Oof. I mean, I guess maybe we have to, right? Queen e6, queen d3, knight f7. Let your
knight.
How do
you stop queen d3 anyway?
F5 square.
Yeah.
The pawn's on f5 is hanging, so you can't really leave. And queen d3 is coming. You can't guard both f5 and d3 simultaneously.
Right.
But okay, I mean, Black certainly is not happy about the knight on f5, but it's far from over. Far from over.
It's bad. It's bad. I mean, I would not want to be.
I was my knight on f7, so I had a little bit more defensive stuff.
Okay.
Maybe.
A little bit more security towards your king. I get that.
Yeah, it still looks at e5 if I want to someday, and then I was gonna save my bishop with bishop f8, but I don't know if I want to take it, but just in case it frees up my stuff a little bit.
Right.
So
just play on the light squares. You got to ask yourself where you're going to put your pawn. If you put your pawn on e6, this knight might swing around to g4. This other knight is definitely going to e4. For example, I just putting some moves on the board. You can just see that white is going to be playing on the light squares, and Oh,
That pawn on h5, the possibility of dropping on g6 with the queen with some kind of funny business tactic is scaring the life out of me.
I
would not want to play
for
this.
Jeffrey fans. Jeffrey would like to do something better, but help me out here, guys. I don't see it. Should I go?
This is trouble.
Maybe queen e5 and something like this.
Meanwhile, he's gonna struggle, guys. Meanwhile, Wander looks like he's playing sparkling chess against Hikaru, as we didn't think that we thought at some point
necessarily he played it
was recovering, but look at this just positional dominance. Is he's got the better minor piece, the better king, and now this like lovely rook parked on d5.
Did you mention the extra pawn?
Oh, I didn't even have to mention that. Yeah.
Wow.
Shame on you with Yasuo in the
what a time to play just a fantastic game. I mean, knight e3, lights out. Thank you for coming. Any French defense player will tell you that the knight goes to f5 in such positions. You take this pawn, and guess what? This bishop is so bad. It is so bad. I mean, you just have to shed a tear for.
And there's Hikaru.
There it is.
There's Hikaru. We saw Hikaru muttering right there. Muttering that. There it is. Now it's coming. Now the realization.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know why it took this long for him to start exhibiting the signs of futility, but right now he is in major trouble, and the championship is on the line. Losing this game, it will be over. His chase. It will
He's 2
not
points behind coming into this round. He's 2 points behind.
You can't. He's gonna be 2.5 down with 5 to go. That would require epic collapses from multiple quarters in order for him to win this championship. Incredible that the favorite, my pick to win this event, the way he's doing now, he's just fortunate to be in it.
Oh no, he'll have an even score. And so Queen E1, what's the knockout for Black? I'm just trying to defend.
Queen E1, I think the simplest might be just rook takes D2, Jen. Mm-hmm. So if you go Queen E1, I go rook takes D2, bishop takes D2, check. If you put your king here, maybe the knight starts to wander in.
Yeah, so you could have also taken on h4 in that position, just to completely
shame on me,
destroy everything.
And congratulations, you just get an honorable membership to the Pawn Grubber Society.
Well, there's so many of them dropping. I take your bishop, I check, and win your e pawn somehow. I mean, this is to be a disaster of epic proportions.
But on the other hand, you're right. I should take the pawn, but just something about the queen and knight combination in terms of attacking. And by the way, Queen E1 on the board, and Hikaru.
Oh, take the pawn now. Take the pawn now. Don't even check him. I could have taken a pawn immediately.
No, this is for fun. No, guys.
He's done it. Rook takes, bishop takes, and he's done the check, and he's prepared now after king b2 to take the pawn on h4 and threaten knight f3.
Yeah,
and that's murder.
No, you better take it on h4, but that's done. And look at the safe king, king h7.
That's what I wanted to really stress, the safe king.
But just the idea that at some point Awanda realized, hey, it's a rapid game. I'm going to, get the better pieces and hide my king. And like you see the payoff of that now. And by the way, Awanda 0-3 on day one is scoring
2.5.
I could have won the first game.
2.5 out of 3.
Wow.
Just to show you, gosh, if only he played the U.S. Junior Championship, guys.
And warmed up.
Wow.
Look at Hikaru now shaking his head. By the way, there's even queen d4 check, and queen takes h4. Just leave the knight parked on. There may be a problem with b5 and push.
The one thing I had, issue I had with that. Yeah. But by the way, again, when you want to talk about king safety and just kind of make a comparison, that's why I really like playing, for the attack, because, the exposed white king versus black's king is so safe, so untouchable. You can't even get a
He just
check
kept his pawn. Knight d4. What's queen c3 here? I know it must still be lost. Queen E2, that's what happened. Oh, he can just take on he can take on E5 actually. Yeah, that would be embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
Gift me that one. That's a very good one.
And that E pawn is going to protect that knight in 2 moves, and you have 0 play.
And
0.
Yeah.
Look at Hikaru. Hikaru knows it. There's just no defense here. Just keep eating food. You're going to check on the light squares all day. And he did. And I played A4. That's just not going to do it.
Oh my God. We were singing Alshon's praises because it looked like he played a great game, but look what happened. I don't know how it happened.
What?
Suddenly Black is up just one pawn. Just up one pawn, but he's the one with the dominant knight on F4.
No.
That's the Alshon versus Jeffrey Zhang game.
I see it. And you're absolutely right. Something slipped up when we left it. He did play knight D2. He took the pawn on A4. Took the pawn on F5, looks good. Bishop back, Queen D3. Well, this position's just dominating for white. Holy
yeah, I mean, that pawn E6 seemed like...
Could we see the finish to the Hikaru game, guys? Yeah. Could we see the finish? We can come back to this. There's 6 minutes left. Of course. The other game looks like...
By the way, I wanted to say...
At any moment.
As we were leaving the Hikaru game, after I see a move like A4, I always play A6. Just out of, just to take away every opportunity for B5. Now I'm expecting E5 by wonder. Oh, pardon me. It's
white to move.
White to move. But this looks terrible. E5 is coming.
Queen C3?
Hikaru doesn't have a move. Hikaru simply doesn't have a move.
This queen has no prospects.
G2 check. He's going to get himself mated, isn't he?
It's bad, but he's not quite breaking in on Hikaru's light squares yet. And we know Hikaru is a tremendous hustler. Let's just be clear. You better beat this man. He's resourceful as ever. He's not just going to go down. And can he? This is really just a life preserver. He needs anything he can to keep the kid from winning the game. Queen C6.
Beautiful move to stop B5, to hit the pawn on A4, and to force that ugliness.
A5?
Now you can reset knowing that your queen side is absolutely secure forever. So maybe check, put the queen back on G2 so the king is back on B1. Oh.
Knight B5 he played.
Wow.
Totally winning and
awesome.
Like playing an amazingly well-played game.
Seriously.
Yes, bring up that Ray Robson game on your screen, please, so we can watch a couple of these. Ray Robson.
On the analysis.
Sam Sevian versus Ray Robson. I'm just looking. Oh, what a mess. Holy.
He's up a pawn, and he's got these knights in the heart of white's position. That's like even more than a practice area.
Yeah, they're all right, but Sam is just a move away. Advantage Ray, no question.
But it's black.
But this is one of those positions you would like more time. 1.5 minutes to 1.5 minutes. Ray ticking down as badly as is Sam's clock.
And by the way,
and he's played F4.
We see that on the right of the screen is the game between Sam and Ray. So the very important. But Hikaru has resigned. It looked like it's over. Queen A2 and Queen D1, and he resigned. And the youngster Awan de Liang coming from the dead to have a fantastic second day and to send Hikaru tail spinning. His chances, Hikaru has taken a tremendous knock. It is indeed over. His chances look almost impossible now to try to win a championship. But it's the kid, we got to say, give him kudos. He completely outplayed one of the best players in rapid chess on the planet.
He played fantastic, guys. I love the way that he played that game. And what about his fortitude and grit to come back from what must have been embarrassing? I mean, no matter who you are, losing 3 games in a row, it's terrible. It's like the nightmare that you have before the tournament. People don't play games like this after that start. So very inspiring.
Very inspiring. Whoa! E4 just got played in the game with Sam Sevian and Ray Robson. We've got to pull that game up.
I've got it on front of me.
Chaos on the
oh,
chessboard. What is happening in this game?
As Jeffrey looks like he's cruising, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's up a couple
But,
pawns.
okay. The problem
B4?
is F3 is coming, and this knight is guarding C1, which is the gateway to a back rank mate. You can't, for example, take because this is the back rank mate that Ray is constructing. So, I mean, you hold your breath, you play B4, and you say, okay, I cure my back rank mate. Okay, you know, the cure may be worse than the disease, but at least I've made luft for my king. And Ray said, no, you haven't. I'll just snuggle up. Queen C2, protecting the knight,
Any threats?
prepping F3. You're in trouble. And Ray is right. Ooh,
Rook C1. What?
Wait,
is that doable?
you feel like you can take it. You feel like you can take it.
I feel like I could take it, but I also feel like
You can play F3.
F3 really is calling, isn't it?
no,
I mean,
but
it's
I don't know. I don't know.
calling, but you got to make sure.
I'm thinking
Ding ding check.
take this
check.
and then play F. Right. That's what I'm thinking. You take, you take on there, and then you play F3, and there's no stopping this fellow.
Nice
And
move. And if you ever play King C1, Pawn G2, and there's no stopping the G pawn, gotta love it.
Either.
That is
Yeah.
sparkling. That is
Sparkling.
sparkling.
I tell you, if Ray wins like this,
I mean, it's ridiculous.
I mean, we've got Wesley So, an out of control Wesley So, but how would you describe Ray if not controlled, sparkling?
And he's
play?
done it. He's done it. Queen C1,
Wow.
knight takes, and rook C1, and he believes in his F pawn. King
Yes,
to
he
B2.
does.
Will he check with his rook first?
I was
and
about
then
to
play
say,
the move. No.
Yeah.
Keep the joy going, and he's played F3, and now he's only 2 moves away from queening. But seriously, Queen H2, I don't see any play for White. Where is White going to come up with some tricks?
You're absolutely right. Queen H2, Queen E5, and Knight E7 is the only tricks
on the
playable.
board.
And he's played Queen H2, so you know, just
King
you know,
did you see this? King F7, allowing Queen
check.
F4.
And Ray is thinking that after Queen F4, he's going to go King. No, he can't be serious. King
He's
E8?
not playing King E6. What? King E8.
No, King E8
allows a check on the back rank, and
that's it. Just one check is all you got.
Really? What do you mean?
Really? So I'm thinking here, and I'm thinking here, and that's it. No more checks.
No, I was thinking Queen B8 is what I was thinking. Not what you played. He's played King E8. He's played King E8. But Queen B8, whoa, he's played Queen E5, allowing rook check, allowing a mate. No, it's got to be mate, right? Knight C3. I mean, rook F3 check.
Allowing
Knight
mate
C3 has got to be mate. I'm sorry, it's got to be mate. B5 check.
What? Is this a puzzle rush? What's going on?
Wait, what happened?
Hold on. There's B5. He could go B5 check, and he could go Queen takes B5.
Oh my goodness, that was gorgeous.
Oh,
that was absolutely delicious.
We're not worthy.
Whoa, look at that fist bump he gave. Like, awesome game. What a way to win a chess game. What a way to win. He dropped B5 on the board and promoted. That was, guys, what was that?
That was great.
What was
that? Was great. That was wild.
He's played 3 of the best games in the tournament so far.
I know.
But I noticed the bar went wild for White at some point.
Just at the end. Did he miss something? It was like Queen F4, King E8, and then I saw the bar as well.
Oh, look at this. I've turned the computer on, and Knight F5 was winning.
For White? What?
For White.
So Knight F5,
this whole maneuver with King E8 was a mistake, and Knight F5
there's Queen E5
winning.
and E7 check. There must be pawn.
You completely expose your position. G takes F5.
And then, we've got to come back to this.
No, Queen E5, yes. Queen E5 is winning. We don't even need to look. Queen E5. How do you save yourself?
Because your rook comes.
Because the rook comes in.
Just one. Keeps up.
It's
Nice
game.
mate
Well,
at
we
the
can
end, guys.
come back to it, but
It's
that was
mate.
over.
Nice.
Yeah,
That was
it's mate.
over. We can go to Jeffrey's game and
It's
King
over. Jeffrey
Queen
is about.
J2, and a pretty checkmate with knight f4 would have been the ending. Oh, you had
Mhm.
two checkmates. You could have gone knight d3 or knight f4. Sorry, there's a knight on e4. Nice one from Jeffrey, who is keeping pace with Ray Robson, as they both have an incredible score, 5 out of 6.
incredible.
Who would have thought that 5 out of 6 would not even be clear second, guys?
No,
They could be clear
not
first.
even a clear second, like a tie for second.
5 for second.
They're
That's
on
ridiculous.
+4.
What's
Remember,
going
I
on?
said the days when +3 won the U.S. championship, toss
Not
them to the window.
anymore. Yeah.
Because people start putting up numbers, and we are seeing numbers get put up. We saw +6 by Sam Shanklin. We saw +5 by Hikaru Nakamura. Right now, Wesley's on +5,
Oh,
and the other two are on +4. Incredible. We have one more game to go, and it looks like White is dominating here as
Where-
Alex Linderman
which-
is in real trouble.
and this would be
Alex
Darius's
Linderman,
first
Darius.
win of the event, as he's struggled. He's lost some tough games. So
He has,
I always like to see everybody win at least one game, guys.
for sure. So we're just double checking. Yeah, obviously, it's a queen ending, but we can transpose. Lenderman can transpose, and it's the king in the square of the B pawn. And I think the answer is yes. I think we're just in time
Uh-huh.
to catch the pawn. Okay, so we can't go into a king and pawn endgame, but if we can,
But wait a second. What I don't understand is why you push the B pawn, because how do you promote your own pawns?
pardon me, is white? No, sorry, Maurice, I misunderstood. What was the question?
That position, how do you win with
Oh.
white? Yeah, exactly. Because I just
Oh,
leave my
you-
B pawn on B5.
You're
I just want
saying
to understand.
go ahead and beat me here,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I just
Yeah.
won't do anything.
And
You're gonna have to introduce some other element like this one, yeah?
yeah, but then I
And-
run you out of a tempo, and I get my pawns on F5 and G5, and then eventually I get my pawns on F6 and G6, and I let you make a queen, but I queen.
But
mate
mate with
you.
the pawn, right? Mhm.
Right.
I hear you.
Yeah.
It looks like what's happening
And
here.
that's exactly what's happening.
exactly
by
what's
the
happening.
way.
They're in the position.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, that black king is going to get mated by a pawn. He may not even have time to queen, to be honest.
Right.
He might get mated long before then, because right now he cannot push
And he
the
just
B pawn
did
because
it,
the king was.
yeah.
He did push the B pawn and just let it
Too
happen.
late. Yeah, it's too easy now.
Now it's
And
resigns. Now it's
now-
clear resigns.
Mhm.
Let's show that Latniaz so that the
Yes.
audience can see what we're talking about. That right
So-
there, the position 2 moves before, as resignation has indeed occurred there, is right here. White can just wait. I mean, make advances. So
Right.
king up. No, don't push. Black has to make a waiting move with the king.
Right.
And now you actually need a move that gets you going. King.
So you could go here.
Actually, here you can play G6
Here.
check is winning. G6 check is winning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. Is it? All right. G6 check. And then
Yeah, so even there, King E6 is winning. What you just did was also winning. The point is,
Wow.
you could just play check. You can just push. Yeah, and you cannot play King takes because of push, and you're not nearly fast enough.
Yeah, you
Like-
get
Exactly.
on there. But guys, I'm still recovering from that game between Savion and Robson. I mean,
Yeah, let's get to that
Thank you,
moment.
me
Knight
too.
F5 was he blew it. He blew it, as you guys
Oh,
pointed
boy.
out.
it was a
Knight
one
F5 was
It was 30
waiting
seconds
for
each
white.
player, so, but it really came from nowhere. It looked like Black was totally winning, and Black had tons of defenders.
everything.
Somehow it was all
No.
about the one idea was for White to coordinate his rook and his queen here, right? So the
he
point of
brought
Knight
the-
F5 immediately.
He brought his
All
king
right,
into
well-
the game. Knight F5 would have been fearsome to see.
Let's talk of it. Let's talk about it with Ray himself.
Ray Robson with us right now
Hi, Ray.
with a fantastic score at the moment. Ray, you are regaling us with your tactical play. Congratulations on your score. But we've got to get to this crazy game. You play this game like a beast, like a wild man just hacking away. Talk us through what your thoughts are in this game.
I felt like I was doing very well, and then at the very end, things became crazy. So, in the opening, and it's a very sharp opening. He's trying to attack me on the king side, obviously, and he played e5, which I've seen this position before, so I knew e5 was a move, but I was sure I was fine. I wasn't positive if I was better or not. Was my idea is to take on c3 in a lot of lines, and either he has to take back with the b pawn, which he doesn't want to, or he has to take with the queen, and then I can take a pawn on e4. But maybe something like h4 and just sacrificing a pawn was possible. But yeah, instead after e5, I think I basically felt comfortable. And then when he played queen d3, knight dc5, queen c2, that seemed like a very bad idea.
All right. Well, you did win a pawn, and then you went on the attack. I'm sorry, Ray, but I know that my producer is going to tell us that we need to keep going,
Okay.
and I want you to get to the most
Sure.
exciting, critical parts of this position. When you play this move f4, and he played rook c1. Now, walk us through this. What are the tactics here? What did you see, and your feeling about the position?
Yeah, so my original idea was to play f3 here. I thought f3 was just going to win the game on the spot. Then when we got this position, I realized maybe rook c2, f g2, rook c8, rook c8, he checks on e7, takes on c8, and before I just assume I'm queening my g pawn, but somehow his knight seems to just be stopping it by itself. So perhaps there was still a way to play this. I even considered f3, rook c2, then rook c2 now, and I just hit the queen and I prepare f2 next. But I was running out of time. I mean, he didn't have time, but I was also down to like a minute at this stage as well. So, I mean, queen c1 seemed like it had to be good. F3 was logical, but okay, it seems like I must be winning. But the thing is, yeah, either I make a queen or I get mated. But during the game, I feel like I was maybe on the verge of getting mated. Like when I played king f7, I was kind of expecting queen c7. Instead, he went queen f4, which I just completely missed. Then, yeah, after king e8, I just had no clue what was happening. But I realized I at least have this check on f3 now that he forced my king off the f file. So that seemed like a good thing. But we both had we were both just playing on the increment. So queen e5, rook f3, king a4. And here, yeah, probably I had some sort of win. But again, there's no time. I played b5, and I was thinking if he plays queen takes b5 check, I could maybe take the knight, and my king can maybe just run. But I realized right after the game, he probably just has queen e5 check, and rook d7, rook d8, and I just get mated. So, I mean, queen b5. Sorry?
No, I just had a cold chill in my spine hearing you say those variations. My goodness, your king is in such trouble.
Yeah. No, but the idea with b5 is I'm trying to force his king to b5 so I can queen with check, which is obviously what happened. So I saw if king a5, rook a3, which is fortunately what happened. But yeah, queen b5. I don't know what the evaluation there. I don't have to take the knight. I can move my king to like f7. I wasn't sure during the game, or f8 maybe, but he's gonna try to create new mate threats. And I mean, I also have checks against his king, but it's running to a5. It's not easy to keep checking it, so I had no clue what was going on. Well, yeah, fortunately he went king a5, and then I got the queen, and I just exchanged queens, so there's no more chances.
What a time, Ray. What were you thinking?
Ray, we say, yeah, I mean, we were just flabbergasted by what happened, and thank you for sharing exactly your thoughts, because they really paralleled ours. We had our cobwebs dispelled when the computer showed as a move knight f5, Ray, and it was like, oops.
After queen f4 check, king e8,
yeah.
You have to go to g7, knight f5, and you're in big trouble.
So similar to what you just said, the queen and rook end up hunting down your own king. You don't even get a chance to run away. So it was just wild, and like you said, it was the increment that you were both playing on. How's your nerves? How are you feeling?
Well, first of all, I think
little
the
jittery.
reason knight f5 is probably like a little bit harder to spot is you're looking to like make a queen move, because then and set up some sort of discover check, because then you have options with the knight. You can check from f5 or d5 or take g6. So playing knight f5 and committing the knight there doesn't seem like the most natural choice, but I think the point is it stops rook f3, right? So I think that's why it's so strong. Queen It would have been a real
Really
shame
fought
like
very
I
nice.
lost this game at the end because I was so winning and I was even like ahead on time most of the game and just at the very end. I mean, I know Sam. He's like incredibly tricky. Like in blitz, he's really strong and even when he has bad positions, he almost always finds a way to wriggle out and come back and win the game or flag the opponent. So I knew like even when I had a winning position that he's gonna try every single trick and yeah, he almost got me.
Wow.
Amazing, amazing. We see your score to this point. Ray, you've done well in the U.S. Championships before. You're sitting on +4 at the moment. Can you remember a time when you've been at this score in any championship? I think you came in second one year.
Yeah, probably
I'm not
2015
mistaken.
was the year you're talking about. That's probably my best year. I was racing with Hikaru for first basically throughout the tournament, and yeah, I actually won my last round game, and that one with Black. And if Hikaru had drawn an equal endgame, we would have been tied for first. We would have had a playoff for first place. So that was my closest. Yeah.
2015. Let me ask you, you see the score that Wesley's putting up, you see the score that Jeffrey's putting up. What do you feel as far as the competitive side of you watching these horses race and you're right there with them?
What are their scores? I don't know what their scores are.
Wesley's got a 5.5 and Jeffrey's tied with you.
So wait, 3 people with 5.5? All right.
No, you have 5.
5.5.
Have 5 out of 6.
Wesley has 5.5, and Jeffrey have 5.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you both
Okay.
have, you have 5.
Wesley's
Jeffrey has
just-
5,
I
and
mean,
Wesley has 5.5.
Can't say anything about Wesley. I mean, the thing is, yesterday he won 3 games, but I think maybe in all 3 he was not doing so well at various stages. Like I didn't feel he played super cleanly, but somehow I think just in the end of the games his technique was just too much stronger than his opponents, and he's very persistent. Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like I'm basically doing as well as I possibly can, and I'm still behind Wesley and tied with Jeffrey. So, and I still have to play both of them. So I mean, it's super tough, but I'm happy. I'm just happy so far with how I've been playing mostly.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we're always happy to see you doing well. Of course, keep it up, and you're giving these commentators some heart palpitations. So you're doing the right thing.
Oh yeah.
Good luck tomorrow. Get your rest.
Right.
Dazzling games. Good job, Ray.
Hi, Ray.
My goodness, guys, that game was insane.
I totally agree with him though. Knight F5 and a time scramble. Not a move that people make.
The opposite of insane, a game that was incredibly sane and well played. A wonder Liang defeating Hikaru Nakamura, our reigning champion, and he's with us to tell us what it's like to beat Hikaru. Hi.
Wanda, welcome. Welcome to the show. Congratulations. Wanda, you beat Hikaru Nakamura. Is that the first time you've done so in your life, or you've done it before, so been there, done that?
I had a win against him in a pro league game, but it's definitely a lot different environment playing in the U.S. Championship. So I mean, whatever way you slice it, yeah, it's probably one of the best games I've ever played.
I love that statement. You said one of the best games you've ever played. Explain to us where you think he went wrong and where you think you were really starting to pump it on the gas. You saw him go really after you immediately. G4, G5, G6. He was trying to kill you right away.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite logical, especially after yesterday where I started, 0 out of 3. And I saw that he's been making some draws in the tournament. So, as I guess one of the weaker players, or apparently one of the weaker players, it's logical for him to try and go after me and get me. But yeah, I mean, this whole knight f1 and g4 didn't make a lot of sense when I already have c5 and knight c6, especially knight c6, which is not always a move you get to have in these lines. And I'm just hitting the center, and it didn't really feel like what he was doing made a lot of sense. But I think we're all pretty familiar with Hikaru's attacking skills and all that, so I was still a little bit on the edge here. But yeah, his position was just not really that sound at all. I mean, his king's not safe in the center, and it can't castle queenside because of queen takes a2. So, and otherwise, like he can't really generate an attack with only like two or like a handful of pieces. He really needs to be able to bring his rooks in. So I spent a lot of time here because I thought like I have a lot of different moves I can play. But I thought, let's just keep it simple, release some tension and bring the rook in. Yeah, b5, knight takes e5, rook c8. I mean, a lot of different candidate moves. So
you went for a very clear one, and that netted you a pawn quickly, and eventually a position that was just so dominating. When your knight landed on f5, you must have been smiling.
Yeah, at that point I realized like it's almost impossible not to win this game. I mean, I've certainly botched my fair share of winning positions so far in this tournament, but yeah, his bishop was just boxed in by his own pawns, and I mean everything. The light score domination was just, yeah. I mean, not even like from a perspective of winning the game, but just aesthetically, my position was so nice that, yeah, it was. I mean, everything was just going right this game. So
it did indeed, and you went on to win in style, overcoming one of the best players in the world, but also one of the best players in rapid on the planet. You did bounce back from what was a horrible day. I mean, you can't say anything else about it. A horrible first day. What made you come back with such power that you even won twice with the black pieces? A lot of people would have been frustrated, and you came back magnificently.
Well, I think it was just the understanding that I have nothing to lose, and I'm just gonna try and maybe not just hold my own, but actually try and win as many games as I can. Actually, by this point, I've already had the same amount of wins in my previous U.S. championships. So,
Wow.
not just like about drawing games or holding against the top players, but actually trying to beat them. And you do that, you're gonna end up taking some hits and taking some losses, which I probably will later in the tournament. But then you get to play some great games like this. So, so yeah, I mean, for me, it's just a great opportunity to play a nice event. So I didn't feel so bad about yesterday actually, since I thought I had a good game against Wesley. I had good chances there. So even though I lost that one, I knew that if I just focus and play well, I'm going to get more chances later. And
love that. How old are you?
I'm 17, but
wow, 17 years old and so wise already. Very impressive. That's a big inspirational story to all the youngsters out there. Congratulations and good luck tomorrow.
Absolutely, Wander. And right after you won against Nakamura, I noticed that you went off camera for a second. Were you doing a little fist pump or victory dance?
I'm not sure, but yeah, I was definitely like really happy.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Get your rest and come out swinging tomorrow. Yeah, you got to take them down. Good luck. I love his attitude. You got to swing. You got to go for the wins. Don't just draw the games. Go for the wins. And that's what he's done. But speaking of somebody who's going for the wins. We got somebody who won 5 in a row, Yaz.
Yes, we do.
That's a lot of points
Wesley.
to win in a row for a quiet draw against Dominguez. The 5 people, I'm curious to know what the score is right now as we do welcome the leader in the event, Wesley. So, Wesley, welcome and congratulations so far on your score.
Thank you, Maurice.
Would you ever imagine that 5.5 out of 6 wouldn't have you leading by at least a full point? I mean,
yeah, exactly what I was thinking. I'm actually very disappointed that both Jeffrey and Ray won the last game. I was following that crazy matchup with Ray to end in the final seconds.
Yes.
But yeah,
chasing you with 5 points.
I mean, to have 2 people chasing you with only half a point behind is very disappointing.
You got to go plus 7 or 8 to win this thing, maybe.
No, yeah, I actually not to. If I don't lose any games, then that would also be very good.
Unblemished. Wesley, day 1 wasn't so good, but your game against Darush was absolutely emphatic. one of the best games, I mean, one of the most lopsided games I can recall in a U.S. championship. The final position speaks for itself. Could you take us through the game? And wow, what the heck happened?
Yeah, first of all, I wasn't expecting Darius to play the Grunfeld, but I prepared Bishop D3. It's a novelty here, this position. Because Magnus played Bishop E2 before. But I thought Bishop D3 makes sense because the bishop is not pinned, so the knight can move freely. And in fact, it worked very well. I think he should probably play C4 instead of knight D7.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop B1, knight D7. At the very least, he has some. So let's say after castle, he probably has rook ace C8 or knight C5.
Right.
Or
He
take
didn't
on
do
F.
that. He went knight D7, allowing you C4 and castles. We were really surprised he didn't take this knight, which is obviously your preparation. And when he didn't take the knight, he played queen back. Now it's sort of like your attack seemed to play itself.
Yeah, exactly. Queen C7 was a bad move. After knight E1 or knight G5. Yeah, and then F4, F5. The position just plays by itself. So you're absolutely right, Yasser. He had to take an F3 at that point and try to complicate things. Because here after Bishop H6, if you see his knight on C3 is very badly placed. And he has no defense on the king side.
Exactly. You played E5, and then after he took, you actually stopped and thought. I was prescribing rook E1, and rook E1, A4, E5 looked great, but what you did was, again, just fantastic. I mean, it all went very well. Now, question for you is, why did you make the repetition one time?
Yeah, I actually wasn't sure because I had very good options. Also, after Queen G7, for example, I was tempted to go also with F6. He takes F6, Bishop H6, just to trap his queen in the corner.
Mm-hmm. Looks
so that's
nice.
one option. And also, I could take on G6 at some point before Bishop C5.
Right.
So that's another option. FG, Rook F8 before taking on C5.
Right.
But I checked with the computer later on and says everything was winning after move 19.
Yes. My actual question though, Wesley, is that you did repeat once. And is it because that's normal for you to repeat once, or do you have another specific reason for going Bishop H6, E3 back?
Well, I was also ahead on the clock, so I figured that you give your chances, you give your opponent more chances to go wrong by repeating moves, and ultimately that's what chess is mostly about, is trying to make your opponent go wrong. So if he didn't go, but in this position it was just clear.
Yeah.
If he's not working on E6, he has chances, but he has no defense.
Amazing tournament so far, Wesley. And here we have it, your record, 5 wins in a row, followed by that sole draw against Lanier Dominguez, but still only half a point ahead of the field. Absolutely remarkable. Wesley, I got to say also, I just really loved your game against Sam Shanklin, that final position where you were down a whole rook and just play Queen A3, Queen D2. That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Jen. Thanks for your kind words. Yeah, actually, I saw totally missed Queen C6, actually. And because I thought Queen D4 was winning, but he had Queen C3, which draws, like here. Queen D4, Queen C3, and White escapes with a draw. So, I thought I was winning earlier, but here it's not so clear anymore.
But then when you played Rook D1, you just uncorked this fabulous conception, being down a whole rook, and he just plays D6, and you just play the creepy move Queen B2.
Yeah, this was this was a nice game. Rook D1. Also, he got really low on time, so that's why I didn't want to take the draw.
Yeah, very nice. How many points do you think is going to win this thing, Wesley?
I don't know. Let's see. 5.5. 5.5 plus 5. I don't know. I think plus plus 6 should be a guaranteed playoff, don't you think? So
5.5.
I
So
don't know
8.5.
what to think. I don't know what to
Those
think,
young,
Wesley.
those young bucks are chasing you down.
I think 8 should be a guaranteed.
Well, this is what your tomorrow looks like as you play Sam Sevian, Elshan Moradi Abadi, and one of your fellow frontrunners, Jeffrey Zhang. Big day tomorrow. And then you also still have Ray Robson and Nakamura to face off in the last two rounds. So
that's
really well written are these pairings.
That's funny. Actually, before the tournament, I also bet myself that Hikaru would win the tournament, but he's clearly out of form.
You bet against yourself, Leslie?
No, I thought I'd try, but I thought Hikaru would be the favorite now.
I did too. I picked Hikaru to win. Clearly, he's way out of form. Nobody would expect Hikaru Nakamura after 6 games in a rapid tournament to be at only 50% and having lost to the youngster in the competition as well. So Hikaru not in form.
Yeah, because he's played very well in every single online tournament he's played in this year. He's earned the most money behind Magnus Carlsen in online events. And he's very consistent. He plays online every day. So I just assumed this would be another day in the office, but I think he's playing from a new studio in California, if I'm correct. So
that's
maybe
right.
that, instead of playing in Florida.
Well, you're making excuses for him, but no excuses necessary for you. You're in the lead. Get your rest. Congratulations. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you so much. See you guys.
Congratulations, Wesley.
Incredible scores. And look at the 3 players who've separated themselves completely. Wow. Who wants to make a bet that one of the people not in the top 3 might win this tournament? I'm ready to take that bet.
Not it, because I think they win 5 games in a row, Maurice. And even then, that might not be enough, because that would require Wesley to have only an even score in the last 5 games. Wow. Well, here are our picks. It looks like 2 of our picks are live. Jeffrey, in my case, and Yasser and Var both with that nice so pick. Maurice, you won the last one, so
yeah.
Can't win them all.
You get to say you get to say you competed, Maurice, and that's important.
Well, I will say, we do love when Nakamura is in the event, when he's competitive.
It's true.
But right now, he's not competitive at all, which is very surprising. But you can't get them all. We got some good new names, and we got Zhang and we got Robson, who nobody picked. So it's great to see. There's going to be a lot of intrigue in the last 2 days, and whoa. And the leaders play each other, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And Nakamura might not be in it to win it, but he does play So in the very final round. So he's still going to be a factor in this event for all those Nakamura fans out there. And I can't wait. This was a thrilling day, guys. I just never could have imagined that we'd have such big scores in the U.S. Championship. But here we are, and it's Ray, Jeffrey, and Wesley. Who's going to take it down? Well, tomorrow we see the next 3 rounds. Do not miss it. Same time, same place. We'll see you guys then.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. See you tomorrow.
Good night.